and gentlemen, this is it. Stand in line for your fix. A triple shot of Mark is in the mix, serving you yet another round of fish and grits. Hitting y'all with the fantasy brunch of week 2. How's it going today, fellas?
Hot, man. That hurricane left and hotness returned. The sun is coming, punking my ass every day.
You're not lying. I'm so tired of sweating. I thought winter was coming.
Man,
Last week I started buying jeans and
I was buying some
buying,
jeans, got
filling
some
my
snow
jackets up.
boots. Let me pull these
Stop lying
jackets
to
up.
yourselves.
Ah!
Put the
Hey, bro.
Uggs back in the closet. Put
Hey,
the
bro.
Uggs back in the closet.
You
With
know
these
when you go
Tim's
to
boots.
you go to the cleaners and they put that little plastic over your clothes. I have my jacket. It's all over my jacket.
Because we can only like real deal wear Tim's like 5 days out the year. So we got to take.
Whoa, time out, time out, time out. I don't know what you other folks do. Tim's is an option year round, homie. I grew up on the East Coast. That's
Okay,
optional wear year round.
he
Don't
gonna
don't
be
get it
Odell
twisted.
chilling on the boat with the
Now we're
Tim's
not
on.
doing fur line Tim's. Don't get it twisted, son. It's leather on the back of that deal. But we ain't doing. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
That's
Man, let me
funny.
tell you a couple people that can't wear some Tim's this week, man. Let's get into these week 2 injuries, starting with my
Ugh.
man Greg Olson.
Oh man.
That that hurt that entire offense. I hate to see Mr. Reliable go, but Father Time is undefeated, and this is the best example here. I mean, what to do? 3 consecutive years with 1,000 yards. That's about to
Oh
come
yeah.
to an end.
Yeah.
Only tight end in history to do that. So I mean, that's a huge loss. 6 to 8 weeks they're gonna throw him on IR. We also had the Ravens lose Marshall Yonder, so that running game is gonna be a little bit iffy, especially since he's out for the season. Vic Beasley also went down with a hamstring tear. Gonna miss at least a month, maybe a little bit more. Those hamstrings are tricky. I also
You
had,
never know.
yeah, you never know with the hamstrings. Garrett Bowles, the offensive tackle for the Broncos, carted off the field. Looked like he got a broken ankle. I think his year is over, but they saying he's week to week. But you get carted off the field, I don't think you coming back, bro.
Yeah, you ain't coming back, son. That's gonna hurt that running game.
It's definitely a lot of linemen that went out this week, especially in Atlanta. Ryan Strader, he got hurt in the first concussion, I believe, with a concussion.
Mm-mm-mm.
Also in that same game, we see Mike Daniels and Jordy Nelson go down. Hopefully those guys can get back to it because Packers. It's not like they miss them, but they just
Cobb went down too.
they add a big element to that team, man. Especially having Jordy. I feel like Aaron is nothing without Jordy on his side.
Well, I heard both of them gonna be all right. Cobb and Jordy. They said it's gonna take a day to day. The MRI came back negative for both of them, honestly. So it's gonna take a day to day. See what Devontae Adams. Jordy can take a break.
Yeah, hopefully Michael Bennett step up a little bit. And then we also got Martellus. I'm sorry about that. Corey Coleman broke the hand. It looked like he's going to be on IR, also out 8 weeks. Jordan Reed with his weekly injury report
The weekly update of
had a chest issue to go along with everything else that's going on. I also seen Rob Kelly fracture some ribs. It looked like the rookie may be getting his little
Samaj
time to
P.
shine. He got to take advantage of it. Jimmy Graham, he ended up getting hurt this week. But that's another one that Jordan Reed trained. So just gotta see how those guys gonna go.
Hey, but did you hear about what they were saying about Graham and saying that it could be a longer and more significant injury than they expected?
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, with Jimmy Graham, it's like you never know how severe his
It's
injuries
so
are.
sad.
Yeah, you think he's gonna bounce back. Next thing you know, he's out for the year. But same thing with the tight end train, Rob Gronkowski. We seen him sideline. He did not return in the game. Jordan Howard was in the shoulder sling toward the end of the game. You should have traded him, guys. Deshaun Kaiser had some migraine. Deshaun Kaiser had some migraines. Kevin Hogan came in, threw a touchdown, and then they threw the rookie back in there. Y'all think that was a good move? Should you protect your asset a little bit more, or he's a third round pick? Let's just throw him out there.
You might as well. I mean, injuries are coming and going, and allowing a lot of these rookies to step up and see what they made of. And it's going to be interesting going into week 3 with so many injuries. As we said before, I wonder what a lot of these offenses going to look like with their rookies taking center stage.
Definitely, definitely. And we also seen Sam
Exactly.
Bradford. Also seen Sam Bradford get hurt with pain, swelling, and discomfort. And the MRI, they couldn't even make out what was going on. They said the scar tissue was too messed up to even see exactly what's going on. So that's a little scary for Minnesota. So they
That's
need to
very
watch out.
scary.
Very
Well,
scary.
let me ask you a question
Super scary. That's
before you
dangerous.
keep going on. Let me ask you a quick question. So I heard Teddy Bridgewater should be making a return mid-season. Man, do you think that's going to open it up for them, the Vikings, kind of feature him back and get his draft stock getting back up?
I mean, it may be two broken down quarterbacks, but you still got two quarterbacks that's capable of winning 10 games. So that's a good problem to have for any NFL team. So I mean, I'm sure they
What will
want to.
Bridgewater look like when he comes back, though?
I mean, better than Case
How long
Keenum.
is it going to take for him to get into the swing of things? And we say that it's better than Case Keenum, but at least Case Keenum's actually run through and run some plays live. I mean, what's the timetable as far as, okay, we know Bridgewater can play, to him actually being able to play the way that
And
they
you
would
know,
need him to, is my question.
and you
If
know what's really
if
interesting.
Bradford only missing a couple games, I'd at least throw Bridgewater out there for at least a half to see what he got, see if he can hold up. You
And you
know.
know what? Him with Davin
If
Cook would have been a nice little 1-2 punch for that offensive game. Now, I wonder if has been working on his throwing motion since he's been out, because that's the thing that he was struggling for. And he was supposed to be making that leap
exactly.
before he got hurt. So it's going to be interesting to see how he is, because if Bridgewater can come back with the hype that he was getting going into that season about, they said he switched up his mechanics and they were kind of wanting to go more pass heavy. So I would like to see what he's about, because I know a lot of teams out there could use him.
No, definitely, definitely.
if I'm Mike Zimmer, if I'm Mike Zimmer right now, I'm pretending that we the 2000 Ravens, and I'm telling these boys for the next 2-3 weeks, however long it is, we about to pound this rock and play defense,
that's all you
and we
really
about to
can.
win these games 13-7. That's what we
The,
about to do right now.
the only thing that concerns me is the fact that they stack in the box, so they don't respect Case Keenum. So hopefully Dalvin Cook can work through the pressure, because the line is improved, but it's still not like
It's
a
still
top
shaky.
And
tier.
they
Yeah.
just have to get creative with what they do in order to
Exactly.
overcome the fact that Sam Bradford isn't there. Because the other part that works in their favor is they have excellent playmakers at all the skill positions. They got a game breaking tight end, they got game breaking receivers. It's just a matter of kind of switching up the style and going from what works for Sam to trying to figure out what it is that works for Keenum. Maybe it's a 3-step drop. Maybe you got to go to slants and quick hooks and let the yak take over, as far as instead of throwing downfield, to kind of keep defenses on their toes and keep them from stacking the box. But that's the things that the coaches have to do. You know what you have when it comes to Case Keenum as a commodity. There's no surprises to be had. So you
That's
have
true.
to just game plan accordingly.
That's true. That's 100% true. And just to round
But
off the
the
injury
Vikings
report,
are the Vikings, though. So let me throw that hate in before y'all get
here we
mad.
go.
We
Here we
heard
go
it. We
with the
heard it.
Vikings are going Viking. Vikings are going Viking. I'm just saying.
And at the end of the injury report, we got Jonathan Joseph, who they say is nothing serious, and also Kevin Johnson, who's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. That kid just can't stay healthy.
Jeez
So
Can't
Louise.
never stay healthy, boy.
I know, man. Oh,
Is
of
that
all,
another Samuel L? Is that another Mr. Glass in the making?
a
Man,
first
I believe
first
so.
round, Mr. Glass. That's what it's looking like. It looked like this may be the
Bruh,
first round
he's
pick.
missed a lot of time to be in the season, to be in the league so
Third,
short.
third season, he hasn't finished at the end of the year. Either one of them. Tom Savage out right now.
Bless.
Of,
That's
of all
pitiful.
those injuries, man, is it anyone that you feel is gonna turn anybody's season? It could affect them making the playoffs. Of
Ooh,
all those,
that Greg Olson one, man. That's
Greg
losing
Olsen.
your
Greg,
security
Greg Olsen
blanket.
stands. Greg Olsen stands out big time because that's Mr. Reliable for a guy that doesn't go completely downfield every play. You know,
Do
so
you think they
But the
are going to
sad part about it
utilize?
is
Go for it.
they need, and I think that this is more of a statement or an indictment rather of, okay, how good are you, Cam? Is all right. Technically, they have on their team, all
Mhm.
things that they have that they've just gotten through the draft. The Greg Olsen injury, while significant because he's an all-world tight end, should not be earth-shattering because they have plenty of skill position talent on that
to
field
change
now.
up the playbook.
It's just that will Cam use it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true,
Exactly.
because he does like to utilize his weapons sometimes. But it's going to
Man,
be,
he loves playing Superman.
yeah, he likes to go run and go do his own little thing, and sometimes it's like he ignoring the play calling. But I would love to see what he's going to do with McCaffrey. If they're going to open it up a little bit for him, since he can work the middle of the field nicely.
And Curtis Samuel stretch the
That is
field. I
true.
mean, if you get stretch the field, what'd you get these guys for if you're not going to use them?
No,
I
I know.
agree.
100%, 100%. The one that stick out to me is probably Marshall Yonder. You know, when you get an elite guard like that who you can count on, play in and play out, especially like coming off that zone running scheme, it's like, man, it's going to hurt to lose him. Now I'm really suspect on the running game. I didn't like it at first. Now I just completely hate it when you take their best lineman out the picture. I mean, they got some decent tackles, but Marshall Yonder, he was probably one of the most dominant guards in the league.
Yeah,
I
he's a
agree.
top 5 guard, easy. Top
Yeah,
5, easy.
easy, man. But before we get into the weekly review, we got to go over these fishy and gritty players, man. We
Uh-oh.
gotta let the people know long term how we feeling, short term how we feeling. Some of the people that we feel is going to stand out soon, or some of the people that we feel stood out this week that shouldn't have. So, what's those fishy and gritty players for you guys?
Let me go ahead and drop mine right quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a little love to a quarterback that has not been getting a lot of love, that I saw, flashes last year, but this year in the first two games, I think he's averaging like 225 yards and 3 touchdowns. And his upcoming schedule, he has Buffalo, and I want to say I forgot who else he has. He plays after that, but I want to give some love to the Denver Broncos, and give some love to Trevor Siemian. He's impressed me. He has his little boneheaded plays that he makes that I guess you can question, his thought process, but I like his patience in the pocket. I like that, Denver has a decent offensive line that, but, the injury we talked about earlier, that's going to play a key factor into that. But I like what they're doing with the running game. CJ Anderson looks healthy. Jamal Charles look healthy. If they can consistently run the ball at a decent pace and not to rely on so much on Simeon, I think he can have a great year, honestly.
I'm with you 100%. I like Trevor Simeon. Who you got over there,
Yeah.
Wilson?
For me, for my gritty guy at the quarterback spot, actually for me, I gave it a little bit of thought, and in our grand tradition, because we like to mess with the markets like that, I actually have a tie. I have two. Uh,
Uh-oh.
First and foremost, my gritty, and it's non-biased. It's just me looking at it. Is Aaron Rodgers, because if you went into a game against the defending NFC champions in Atlanta and you would have told me that he would have had no Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb for half a game, no starting tackles, there's no way in hell that I would have thought that he would throw for 340 and 2 touchdowns.
That is true.
And to the amount of skill that he has, it's a testament to him not really wanting to give up, because they could have easily rolled over at halftime and just packed it in.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish they did.
He stayed in there. He fought the good fight. I'm probably sure you did, because you probably
Because
didn't
I would
have
have
A-Rod.
won. I would have
Yeah,
won.
exactly.
Devontae Adams
Yeah,
screwed
exactly.
me.
Second gritty guy at quarterback is a guy that's slowly starting to grow on me.
Uh-oh.
Real under the radar. At one point was a punchline, but now not
Uh-oh.
so much.
I
And
think
that
I
would be
know who it is.
Jared Goff for the LA Rams.
Mm-hmm.
He looks
Okay,
good.
Jared.
One thing to pay attention to when it comes to Jared Goff, contrary to when he was being brainwashed by the Fisher coaching staff, if you ever get a chance to watch him play, especially in these first two games, that man has thrown the ball to at least 7 receivers every single game. And for a young quarterback, that's a really good quality to have. He doesn't get tunnel vision. He doesn't lock in, because for young quarterbacks, that usually makes you turnover prone. It makes you interception prone. He sprays the ball all over the field. He tries to make do with the limited resources that he has at the skill positions, and in spite of Todd Gurley being less than spectacular at this point. And he's actually put up numbers so far through these first two games. So that's my guy as far as little under the radar sleeper. Maybe if you're in a pinch, need a waiver wire type guy, I'd say give Jared Goff a try for a couple of weeks.
Definitely. And same on my end. Well, my gritty play was like a waiver wire guy, because this week I had Andy Dalton, but I didn't start him. I threw in Jay Cutler, and he got me a dub in one of my leagues.
Bless you.
And he was
Bless you.
he was consistent. I mean, he got Jarvis Landry the ball 13 times. That's something that nobody expected. Okay, because
We didn't.
we
We
know
didn't.
Ryan Tannehill is always going to look for him. So he got his playmakers the ball. He hit Devontae Parker deep for one. Kenny Stills got his traditional deep ball. So he's really fitting into the offense real nice. I know it's just week one, but in the pinch they got the Jets next week, so I'm sure he can get 2 more touchdowns on him.
But let's look
Yeah,
at Jay Cutler. Let's look at Jay Cutler for this week. What I was impressed by looking at the highlights, or not even the highlights, just looking at the game itself, Jay Cutler does not look like turnover Jay Cutler. Like, he looks spry. He looks
He
like
stays in Miami now, man.
Yeah, he's on
Well,
Miami
he never
Beach.
does at the beginning of the season. He never looks turnover prone at the beginning of the season.
That's
It's like
true, but he looks
December when
more.
it get cold.
But he looked more in control. Like he looked more composed than what I've used to seeing Jay Cutler. Like, I haven't seen Jay Cutler scramble and make a dump off pass or something like that. He looks spry out there. So I'm gonna give him some
And don't
credit.
get me wrong, when your running back has 28 carries for 122 at 4.4 a clip, I mean, it should be pretty easy to play
Eat him
football
up,
behind it.
Eat him
All
up.
you got to do is don't have turnovers. And what's the one thing we always get on Jay Cutler for? Turnovers.
Turnovers.
He had none. So,
And the other part
man.
about it, we talked about it in previous podcasts and stuff like that. I know I touched on it before, is the fact that Jay Cutler going to Miami, I can, on the top end, equate to Randall Cunningham going to the Vikings. Sometimes you need that change of scenery. You need a little time to grow up and be away from the game to come back hit it hard, appreciate the stuff that you may have taken for granted before, and it can kind of make you a better player. And you
Michael
kind
Vick.
of see that in the way that Jay Cutler was conducting himself in that game as well, because, as we always put the quarterback under the microscope, you're the leader of the team, this, that, and the other. And it's easy for Cutler to go Cutler, pout, quit on the guys and stuff like that. And you really didn't see that. Like you said, he maintained composure. He looked comfortable out there. He looked like he was actually enjoying himself. And that's one of the
Exactly.
things that I can say I haven't seen in a long time for Jay Cutler, because when he was with the Bears, he never looked like he was enjoying himself.
And another thing I liked about Jay Cutler, I still think I want to like after the season's done, I want to look at that and say that time off with him in limbo did some good for his career. Kind of put things in perspective. Like, oh, you know what? Nobody wants me. Like, I need to get some shit together.
Yeah, I was a bum.
That wife telling them, you better get your shit together so you can go get that check, homie.
Get them
That probably is
coins.
a little bit of
Get
motivation
that bag.
as well.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was playing with a bum.
Jay, I'm gonna need you to secure the bag. If you think you're gonna secure this, you need to
Yeah.
secure the bag, sir.
Send here to
Just
leave.
saying.
On the flip side, man, my gritty running back is gonna be it's more off potential. I went with Samaje Perine just because I think when you mess up those ribs, you ain't coming back for at least a month. You need a little time for those to heal, because you get one little spear to the chest, you may be gone. So it's hard to find a starting caliber running back in fantasy. We always scrapping the waiver wires, looking for the next big thing. Could be the next big thing, but I know for sure he's at least going to get 15 touches. If one of those touches convert into a touchdown, I know Chris Thompson's looking good, but that's a pass catching back. This guy
That's the
can run the
lightning.
rock.
That's the lightning.
Yes.
Yep,
This guy
all
here
you
can
need
run
is-
the rock. The strongest running back at the combine, and we seen his tape at Oklahoma. You need I say more?
Yeah, he is the thunder. And the thing that works good for Samaj as far as like moving forward for the next few weeks is he's shown a dedication to trying to improve at his craft.
Exactly.
He's shown a willingness to try to adapt more.
He took fumbling to the heart. He took fumbling to the heart.
You can see that he's really trying to adapt and adjust and not make the same mistakes and not do the same things that didn't work for him. He's trying to grow as a player, and those are the things that you see that are encouraging.
The thing and going off the young backs, I'm gonna go ahead and give my gritty running back. It's gonna be Derrick Henry. I know everybody's heard of Derrick Henry. We've seen him in Alabama holding it down. I'm gonna show you DK is about to take over, man. Because I don't know, DeMarco. The coach says that
Man, you've been rooting for DeMarco Murray's demise for
I've been forever since he left. Since he left, when he went to the Eagles and stunk it up, I said I want DeMarco to fade from existence.
Because I took him in the second round last year. I think that's why I'm so bitter on DeMarco, because I drafted him out with those Eagles.
Go to Blues all off season.
He has the talent. You've seen DeMarco. He can really hold it down. He learned to catch the ball a little bit better. But just looking at Derrick Henry and what he brings to the offense, it's explosive, because you saw that 18-yard run that he did. He could not be stopped. Not saying that DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, the thing with Derrick Henry is, unlike DeMarco Murray, Derrick Henry can still produce whether his jersey is clean or not. If DeMarco Murray's jersey is dirty, then he might have had a rough game. It might not be so good. But if that jersey is clean, then he done ripped off 18 carries for $140 and 2 touchdowns. With Henry, it really don't matter. If he got to go through 1 people or 10 people, he's still gonna try to get his.
He don't need it. Just give him some shoulder pads.
Having a career high of 92 yards and a touchdown, and then if he's on your waiver wire, I would take a flyer, and he's high on my running back waiver wire, because
if he's on somebody's waiver wire at this point, then your league I need to join, because they don't really know what they're doing. It's no way in hell that Derrick Henry should be a waiver option at this point
at all.
That hamstring injury with Murray, that hamstring injury is going to be something serious, and if he's dealing with that all year, there's no telling what they're going to call Derrick Henry and say, "Hey, take it over for us." I know they do have a rough stretch of games coming up, but if DeMarco is looking bad, and they want to slide him in, oh boy, you're looking at some damage. And just picture that.
But even though they go through and they have a rough stretch and stuff like that, a lot of the rougher parts of it and stuff like that is actually stuff that they get at home. So that kind of helps too.
And if you go to the waiver wire and you pick up some of these running backs, yeah, they can be good. But we've seen the talent with Derrick Henry, and if you get him, I guarantee you're guaranteeing a top 10 fantasy running back on your squad, in my opinion.
Top 20 in both formats, at least. Top 20 in both formats, at least. Yeah.
Go for your gritty people, Marcus.
My gritty tailback is a guy that I actually know from experience, because I picked him up off the waiver wire in some of my more depleted leagues, who seems to show some surprising pop, especially considering the situation with his offensive line, and that would be one Chris Carson in Seattle. He put up some surprisingly good numbers. I believe he had 20 carries for 92 yards.
Beast.
How he did it, I have no idea. But one thing that I do notice about that young man, he's heady. He keeps his head on a swivel, and he has the best burst coming out of the hole of anybody in a Seattle uniform.
His stride is ridiculous.
Man,
When he get on the
that
edge,
dude.
he turns
Yeah,
straight
once
back
he hits it, he hits it. He's deceptive in that manner.
Yeah.
What's crazy about with that Seattle game, he's the only dual threat running back they have because CJ Prosise can't give
Cannot run
you
between tackles.
he can't go between tackles. Thomas Raw can't
Nope.
catch. Eddie Lacy just looks
Oh.
like
Eddie Lacy can't
like
suit
a
up.
He
burger
looks
out
like
there.
he looks like Eddie Lacy. Like
Yeah, he looks like Eddie the
he looks like
hamburger
the
out
Eddie
there.
Lacy we didn't see that everybody
Eddie,
else seen.
Eddie looks
Everybody else
great
saw
in
it.
the sweats. Eddie looks great in the sweats.
He does.
Yeah, he looked good in the uniform, but when he get out there on the field,
coming off
he's
the
like,
bus,
goddamn.
coming off the bus.
Well,
yeah.
no, he can't wear the uniform from what they say. I mean, he was inactive last week, so he
Oh,
wasn't
dang.
even wearing the uniform.
Bro,
We're talking about the fact that if Thomas Rawls is 100% right now, that Eddie Lacy might get cut out right or might be trade bait.
oh yeah, Chris Carson is that's a huge pickup. That you're looking at a top fantasy back right there. With same with Derrick Henry, man. That dude right there has talent.
If he can latch on and he can keep producing the way that he's producing, yeah, in an offense like Seattle's that loves to run to set up the pass, oh yeah, that kid can put up numbers.
Yes, sir. So who you got for your wide receiver? Who you got
For
your
my wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver, my gritty guy that's often underappreciated, overlooked, but to me, I think is a key cog, and I'm sure everyone that roots for him understands that he's a key cog. But my guy is rapidly becoming a man who I would call a Packer killer, and that would be one Mohamed Sanu.
Mohamed.
Looking at the game, once they had gotten their mind right and dedicated themselves on that back end through Kevin King out there to throw some size up against Julio Jones, and they pretty much kept him quiet in the second half. Matt Ryan was like, "That's okay. I've got Sanu." Stopped him in the second half. I mean, he's not flashy. He's not somebody that really stands out to you until it's too late, but he's extremely consistent. Matt Ryan is quite fond of him. He has a lot of faith throwing to him. He loves being the object of Matt Ryan's affection when they're using Julio or Devontae out of the backfield as a decoy. He gets a surprisingly high number of targets in that Atlanta offense with so many weapons that are out there. I think he'll be viable all season as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 flex option.
And I'm gonna tippy toe off of that and give a shout out to I like Sanu, and I also like another person that's in that flex range, but now creeping on the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 range, and that's JJ Nelson. He's been holding it down since last season, if anybody been taking notice. And I know a lot of fantasy people have been giving him a lot of credit, saying that he scored 7 touchdowns in 7 games, but
he's what we thought John Brown would be.
Exactly. He's exactly what we thought John Brown was. The dude is starting to get at least 8 to 9 targets a game, and John Brown seems like he can't stay healthy. He won't be on the field. Larry Fitzgerald, we don't know what's going on with Larry Fitzgerald. Like I didn't see Larry Fitzgerald being this terrible.
Larry's on his last legs. He's a possession guy, and it doesn't help that his quarterback is less than spectacular at delivering the ball. They're kind of in a situation almost like with JJ Nelson and John Brown, the way that the Packers were the year that Jordy got hurt, and everybody expected Devontae to just step up and be a 1, but he couldn't because he's not. That's pretty much John Brown. JJ Nelson is going to do what he does because he's still going to be that slot terror. He's still going to be that Swiss Army knife that people aren't accounting for yet. And he's making Palmer look a lot better than what he actually is, to be honest.
Exactly. He's looking mighty spry out there. And then if you want to go, if he's on your waiver wire, that should be your number 1 target because that dude's going to operate like a number 1 option. And, as bad as Carson Palmer is, he still gets him the ball. And a guy who gets that volume, it turns into goals sometimes. So
he's got a good matchup this week.
Oh, the Colts, they should cook. Not the Colts. That's not the Colts. Who they play? Oh, Dallas.
Cowboys on Monday night.
Cowboys.
They got a good matchup. Their secondary isn't the greatest.
My gritty guy's going to be playing the coach, and that's Rashad Higgins right now, who is the number 1 receiver for the Cleveland Browns. It doesn't sound sexy, but when you playing the coach, you got to play. I mean, look what bum-ass Carson Palmer did. Do I need to say anymore? I mean, that dude looked like he did not want to play football in the second half. Next thing you know, he got 300 yards. It's the coach. Malik Hooker did have a nice
I'm hashtagging free Kenny Britt at this stage.
They have to.
Free
they have to.
Britt, man. I can't believe
No
this.
love.
That's a young team. I mean, it looked like they going to the young talent. I mean, Njoku getting in the
I
mix,
understand
Higgins
it.
getting in the
I
mix,
understand it. I understand
Duke
if you're
Johnson
going
getting all
throwing
the
stuff
stuff.
like that, but damn, that dude is way too talented to just be sitting there
Wide open,
table
not getting no.
scraps.
Oh
Like
man,
literally, he's catching table scraps. That's mind-boggling to me.
I'm
I had
with
to
you.
go. I have to look sometime and see if Kenny Britt is even on the field sometimes. And I look and he's
That's,
wide open.
it sounds like Brandon Marshall, but
Oh man,
that's
poor
another
Man,
Brandon
story.
Marshall.
Demarcus, talk to your people. Demarcus, go on and send him another draft pick over there so y'all can pick him up. I mean, y'all can use a receiver. I'm just saying, you know.
We can use about anything right now. We can use about anything.
You give Deshaun Watson D Hop on one side, full in the slot, and Kenny Britt on the other side.
You can make some.
Hey, Britt would be nice with the Texans if you
Hey
want to
man,
be.
Britt would be real nice with the Texans.
He would. He would.
Britt is what you wanted out of Jalen Strong, but now he's in Jacksonville. But that's another story.
Oh Lord, he
He
ain't.
gonna hit man. I'm picking him up off the waiver wire and playing him against Houston because I know he gonna catch 2 TDs.
He gonna at least get a 50 yarder. They gonna try somebody.
It's the Houston way. They always get rid of folks and they come back to burn them. It's the Houston way.
So
It goes to the Rockets to the Texans.
man,
Man, like Jalen Strong isn't gonna do anything this season.
except against
Houston.
like Andre Johnson did with the Titans.
You know what I'm saying? Just play him one game.
He
Just play
came in
him
and
one
clocked
game.
out after that. So yeah, Rashad Higgins at the receiver, at the tight end, my man is coming back. Austin Seferian Jenkins. I know he hasn't played, but the thing is, the Jets they don't really have no more. Jermaine Kearse only had 4 targets, and that's the best receiver they got. But really, the guy that was dominating all preseason was Austin Seferian Jenkins. He's going to come back, at least get 8 targets. He may score a touchdown this week. If he's on your waiver wire, you need a tight end, get him right now.
So I was going with B Dub, my boy Benjamin Watson, as the tight end that
That was going to be my guy. That was my guy.
it was going to be my guy, but I switched it up a little bit. Give it up for Jack Doyle for having a fantasy productive game. Looking at what he brings to that offense, they're going to go to him a lot. And him having like 9 targets is only going to go up with, a lot of their wide receivers kind of not showing up and not playing anything. But better believe a guy that can give you, I guess in PPR, he can give you at least 10 points a week. Just think about what the value he's going to give you when Andrew Luck returns. You know how much Andrew Luck loves a tight end. Jack Doyle was not terrible last year. So
At all. He was top 10 last year.
I know
he's
how
on
much
your waiver
Andrew
wire,
Luck loves T.Y. Hilton, who's in fantasy football hell right now.
oh man, if you can get T.Y. Hilton for the low. If you have
Man,
Jermaine
you can get him
Kearse, you can trade him for
a
T.Y.
carton of
Hilton.
cigarettes and some crayons.
Bruh.
Give him away for a high five. You can trade and give him a high five, and you get him.
Give me a Hot Pocket and a Milky Way player, and you can have it.
Just the snack size.
It's gotta be the pepperoni Hot Pocket though. I won't sell anything less.
You better not give me no hamburger hot pocket.
Yeah, don't give me the ham and cheese. I don't eat that swine. Don't do it. Don't mess with me like that.
Skip that.
But who you got for your?
He's my tight end, my gritty guy. Huge bounce back after being completely absent in the first week for whatever reason. Hunter Henry for the Chargers. I think that now that we've gotten this record out of the way for Mr. Gates, and he's the most prolific scoring tight end ever, I think that we're going to go back to the business of breaking in this young man, and I think them targets are going to go through the roof. He went from 0 targets in game 1 to 8 targets in game 2, and I think that trend is going to continue.
I'm with it 100%. I'm with it
100%. Since it's on you already, how about you go ahead and tell us about your fishy people? The fishy little quarterback.
Let me go through and I will give you my fishy quarterback for this week in the truest sense of the word, and that would be Mr. Tom Terrific himself, Tom Brady. Am I fishy on him long term is not producing? No. Am I fishy on the fact that he's not about to come out next week and throw 3 touchdowns in the first quarter and have 400 yards? Yeah. That's a little fishy to me. Here's the thing. And no, it's not possible with the Texans. I give them a little bit more credit for that. They'll be a little bit more creative on defense. Defense hasn't really been the Texans' problem. But when it comes
to get at least 13 targets in his way.
Comes to this fishy and gritty list, I'm going to tell y'all and be honest right now. My fishy quarterback every week is probably going to be whoever it is that's playing against the Saints defense. Because if your quarterback is going in a slump and they got New Orleans on
game.
The schedule. Oh, he's about to bounce back.
Yeah, Cam Newton.
You know what I'm saying? Watch Cam dab on him.
Man, 3 times. 3
times.
Kelvin, you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, Cam's back. Cam's legit. He's elite." And then you're gonna see him play somebody other than New Orleans and be like, "Oh, never mind. My bad." My bad. It's them Saints. Them Saints give you that false sense of pride.
And my fishy quarterback is a person that's playing, I mean, probably the worst football that I've seen. Andy Dalton. I mean, this dude had
Ooh,
a
Red Rocket ain't got no
resurgence.
gunpowder.
Man, he had a resurgence a few years ago, and we were all looking at Andy Dalton like, man, this dude is about to have a breakout. He's finally coming into his own. He's about to take off. And then what happened? I don't know. I think I want to look at this week 3. I want to look at week 3 and 4 to see what he's going to do, because he did face the Ravens, and we see how amazing they've been this year. And then he also played the Texans, who still have a legit defense, and he does struggle against the Texans. So I'm not going to trash him, but I'm gonna put him in the garbage can, but I'm not gonna take him to the dumpster. If you know what I'm saying.
Let me put the zip tie on him real quick,
Oh,
because
damn.
the one thing that I will say that I find disappointing, and I love Andy Dalton. I've loved Andy Dalton since high school. The one thing that I will say about Andy Dalton is it's surprising to me that, given the fact that they gave him more weapons to work with this season for his play to be this bad. Now, that being said, I believe some of the rumblings that I've heard out of Ohio, because I have family in Cincinnati. They're a bunch of Bengals fans, and we're not talking to each other this week. But things about it is, and even A.J. McCarron has signed off to the fact that a lot of the Bengals players did not like their offensive coordinator. They didn't like the type of game that he called. They didn't like the philosophy that he had, so they let him go. They brought in a new OC, Ken Zampese, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll be, like you said, Marcus, real interested to see in the next couple of weeks, now that the play calling philosophy is going to change slightly. Some of the personnel moves might change, some of the people they put out there on the field. And we'll kind of see how it works out for Andy from there, because there's really no major excuse for his play to be this bad. They don't have any significant changes weren't expecting coming into the season. Yeah, they lost a couple of linemen. They ended up going to Cleveland and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything earth-shattering. They still have a pretty decent line. They have a stable of running backs. They got good skill position talent at the receivers, at all 3 receiver spots, honestly, as well as tight end. So there's really no excuse for his play to be this bad. So hopefully it was just a thing of, well, we're trying to, square peg in a round hole with this coordinator. We changed that. Let's go on ahead and go get back to being, who we are and stuff like that. But yeah, it's gonna be hard in these next couple of weeks if he doesn't change or improve to not just close that lid on the trash can.
No, I'm with you 100%. Another player I got in the trash can is Eli Manning, and the only reason he's in there because anytime you look at fantasy, we're like, oh damn, Eli had a good ass game. But then you see that Odell Beckham took 2 50-yard touchdowns to the house. Right now, with the way Odell Beckham looking, he's not gonna be scoring those 60-yard touchdowns no time soon.
None time soon.
Until we see Odell Beckham at 100%, I'm just sitting Eli. I'm not saying drop him, but just put him on the bench. Let him sit next to some of the IR people, chill over there in that little lounge. And just let them. Let him chill with Andrew Luck or something.
He at the bottom of your bench. God damn.
Yeah, he went
exactly. And it's a tremendous drop off for him, because one of the funny things about Eli Manning, ironically, is that while people in real life don't really appreciate him that much, and he got lucky with the 2 Super Bowls and the defense carried him, blah blah whatever.
Still had to get to the game.
Decade, though, as far as fantasy football goes, he's been like a top 10 quarterback for the better part of a decade. He puts up decent fantasy numbers. So that's never been a problem with Eli. But this year, man, it's all adding up. OBJ being down to start the season, the line being no sense of a running game whatsoever. Like, you can't even fool on a play action. The D linemen just stand there like, bro, why did you even fake the handoff?
Are we supposed to fall for that bull?
Like, yeah, why are you even faking a handoff, bro? We know, we heard y'all. I heard your lip quiver when you were trying to call the play, because we knew you was lying on the play action. It's fine, bro. Just throw it. Just, somebody might catch it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just hoping that whole situation improves, because the Giants, they always start off 0-2. I believe it's their 3rd straight year starting off 0-2. So they'll bounce back at some point. I'm expecting Odell to be Odell about week 10. But that's
the thing about the Giants. Their schedule doesn't ease up. That's the bad part.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule this year.
That schedule, it gets worse.
That's what I just want people to take a look at.
It gets worse.
Like, these are no sleepovers. Like, you play in Philadelphia and Tampa Bay. That's 2 more losses. You about to go 0-4.
But I'm sure that Wilson got
they're probably going to put 40 up.
Wilson got some extra zip ties over there just in case I need to use one. So.
They're gonna put 40 up on Philly. this weekend.
Who gonna put on 40 on
Oh, I was just checking to see if your microphone was. I was just checking to see if
it's
your
working
microphone was,
fine.
He got
brother.
so
That is
hot
an
up.
insult.
Uh-oh.
Man,
So who you,
let me tell you who's not working fine. These two running backs that I got as my fishy players. That's Rawls and Lacey.
oh boy.
Just sit them both, cut them, do whatever you.
I
Get
got
them both.
plenty of zip ties, and I got the extra industrial strength bag for Mr. Lacey because
Oh,
he
I
can
need,
rip the regular bag.
I need the Sam's Club pack to fit
Yeah,
me.
he's gonna rip the regular bag.
Yeah, he's
So,
gonna
yeah,
take some room.
drop them. I feel it's safe to say drop them.
The only way
Keep
that Eddie Lacy is
is
viable
post
at this
in the
point,
PPR. That's it.
the only way that Eddie Lacy is viable at this point is if somebody, I don't know, the Giants or somebody like that decides, well, let's take a chance on him, try to get some fresh legs in here, because he's not going to get any points in Seattle. I don't think he's going to play another game in Seattle, to be honest.
I can believe it. And you have those two that are, scraping the bottom of the barrel. This guy robbed me. CJ Ham. Why the hell are you in the game? That was a touchdown for Dalvin Cook, and they stole it from him. They stole him. They stole 2 wins that I could have had because of that bullshit. And CJ Ham, you may
Heartbreak
not be.
Hotel is always
Man,
space. It's
that's
always
the man.
So
That
basically,
is
you're mad at Ham for going ham.
yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
For vulturing a
Okay.
touchdown.
My bad. Pun fully intended. Kanye.
Oh man, I despise this dude just for stealing that touchdown because I really needed that for fantasy purposes. And Dalvin
Ham,
Cook,
you have made a mortal enemy in here.
oh for life.
Who did that help?
It was just like Tober. When Tober used to like vulture these touchdowns from Jonathan Stewart, I used to just be like, man,
Tolbert is a super vulture.
man, I'm tired of this guy. He's Michael Turner 2.0.
Blast from the past.
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
goodness. My fishy, because I don't think that it's not an indictment of him not being good or him not being able to produce. I'm just fishy on a mindset for the folks listening. I'm fishy on it because of the mindset of the fact that I don't trust in Washington enough to do the right thing, and that would be one Samaj Paran. I think everybody that has a brain knows, okay, you see the injuries going on, you see what you got in Chris Thompson, okay, it's jackhammer time. Samaj, hey, we're going to show you this film of this dude named John Riggins. Pretend that you're him and just ride out.
Yep.
I feel, however, that for some reason that Gruden is going to try to still be cute and still try to mix it up a little too much and not
he will.
understand. But I don't understand why coaches don't buy into the I don't understand why coaches don't buy into the fact that if you get a kid that's a workhorse coming out of college, it's one of those traditional a la Mark Ingram in New Orleans.
32
You got a
attempts.
kid that in the fourth quarter looks twice as good as he does in the second quarter because you build that momentum with feeding him, but then you get him to the pros and you don't feed him and then have the audacity to question why they're not effective. Well, you're not doing the shit that they do to get effective.
I'm gonna be honest
man,
with
the Rock, he's gonna be just fine. He'll get you touches. He'll get you yards. He'll get you them short yardage touchdowns in spades. If they keep trying to be cute and mixing it up, and you can come in for 3 carries, and then we got Thompson in for 4 or 5 carries, and then we got it. And when they keep chopping it up like that, and you get a running back out of a rhythm, an old school traditional workhorse back, when you get them out of rhythm like that, they're never going to be effective.
I agree, and it's killing him. Ingram,
it's killed him his whole career.
Oh man, I wish he'd go to the Eagles. Whew.
Me and my buddy, we had a nice argument about this. Shout out to BJ because he's laughing at me right now. He always talked about it because we had a big knockdown, drag out fight about who's been better and more effective in the league as far as Alabama running backs, whether it was Mark Ingram or Eddie Lacy. And part of the argument that we had is understood that Mark Ingram is really, really not being utilized correctly because of offense that he's in. If you put him on a team, like if you would have put Mark Ingram like on the Giants, dude would be like a super duper star. He'd average like 1350 a year.
Or the
man, he'd average like 1350 a year. Because they'd be like, oh wait, I saw what you did in college. Go do that. On 2. Ready? Break.
I mean, they had
just when you go and you try, it's like that square peg in a round hole type situation.
I
And I
agree.
don't understand why people come down on players, and it's like, okay, you knew this dude was a jackhammer between the tackles running back, but you drafted him to a team that runs a spread offense, and you wonder why he's not good. Hello, square peg round hole. It just don't make sense.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What about the receiver, man?
Man, my fishy receiver is the dude, like I said, that's stuck in fantasy football hell right now in Indianapolis. My man T.Y. Hilton.
Who?
Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Who? Never heard of.
T.Y. Hilton. Yeah, you heard of him. You heard of him.
Not this
Oh, wait.
year.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Andrew, put your jersey on real quick so they can see Ty.
Well, he can't lift that shoulder. He can't put that jersey. He gonna have that half.
That's the only time, and that's the saddest part about it. It's complete Jekyll and Hyde syndrome when it comes to T.Y. Hilton. When T.Y. Hilton is playing and number 12 is lined up behind center, that man is about to give you the business. He's about to give you them sneaky yards, hella targets. Like literally every year that he's led the league in receiving, I was like, how in the hell did he do that? I ain't never really seen him do that much. And it just comes in like massive chunks. Whenever Andrew Luck is not on the field,
oh, he's good.
You
He's
might
goodbye.
as well
His
say
production
wow.
isn't half.
you might. It's not even in half. I'd say it's like a third or a quarter.
Who?
He's invisible when Andrew Luck is not on the field. Period. Like he goes from top 5 fantasy receiver to not mentioned at all.
To John Cena. Oh, he just that quick.
Man, straight invisible.
So who you got for your tight end too?
Tight end, I'm going to go ahead and let you enjoy your day right now, Mr. Griffin. Although I will still be defiant and say that it's not cold outside, so it doesn't technically count. But I gotta say, I don't know if he was just kind of uncomfortable, but I mean, I'm gonna just chalk it up to, this is your one for the year. But my man Martellus Bennett had a part of it that wasn't his fault because, like the rest of the team, and especially my head coach, I disagree with him getting called on that pick play, on that 36-yard play to Randall Cobb that could have completely changed the entire complexion of that game because we were still within 10 points and driving down the field when they called that offensive pass interference. And 2 plays later, it was a fumble for a touchdown. But that you add to that the fact that he had at least 3 or 4 drops in that game. But it was just a bad game for him all the way around. That's not what they brought him in for. And it's evident in the fact that Aaron still has enough faith to target him. I want to say he at least got 7 or 8 targets.
He got 11. He got 11 targets.
Exactly. I mean, this is the time when you take advantage, especially when 87 is hurt, when Cobb gets hurt.
You're right. I mean, he was my fishy tight end too, just on that simple fact is that he didn't come through in the clutch. He had a lot of targets, but he didn't produce. And I noticed what he did was because my girlfriend had him on his team, and I told her to sub in because I thought that he would have had a really productive game against Atlanta.
The matchup was well for it. The matchup was well for him. He just didn't produce.
Not at all. And he was my tight end, so you can cross that out. And then I have Mike Wallace. I don't know what happened to Mike Wallace. Like T.Y. did. I don't know what's going on. Like him, Kenny Britt, T.Y.
Mike Wallace from Pittsburgh? Because that's the only Mike Wallace I know.
Man, Mike Wallace. I forgot Mike Wallace even played with the Ravens. I hyped him up like he was going to be the number 1 wide receiver, and he doesn't get any attention. So,
But that's a funny trend this early season, and it's weird to say because it's just 2 weeks in, but it's been really, really surprising that a lot of the quote unquote usual suspects at wide receiver are not doing well so far.
Missing this early.
Missing, bro.
It's sad how early that they're just starting to tank out of there, man. And a lot of these stars are not performing either. A lot of these first round pick that a lot of people had, not really showing up and showing out. Like people drafted them to be the only person.
Jordan Howard.
Oh man, we heard you. We heard you. How dare you insult Jordan Howard? But
I mean, we can say that, but okay, Jordan Howard had the same game that Zeke had the same game that LaShawn had.
Yes,
it's not just him. It's not independent. It's not just entirely him. one of the biggest things for me is the fact that the way that things have changed in the last few years, as far as the way that the NFL and the NFLPA gets together and comes down on the way that people can practice, the amount of practice they can get in, and the way that they run the preseason, with everybody being so apprehensive about people getting hurt, people getting concussions and stuff like that,
And nobody
it really
plays.
limits the
Then they
number of
get hurt.
reps, and nobody gets a chance to play. So really, why we've been telling folks, okay, wait at least till week 3 or week 4 so you can kind of see the way that the season is rounding out for a lot of these teams, is that literally these first 3 or 4 games, if you really pay attention to them, look like preseason games. A lot of rust, a lot of people still trying to figure it out, a lot of folks that's no shows that you're expecting to be there, a lot of folks that you never expected to be there to showing up. It's just weird. It looks like preseason, you know what I'm saying? So that's why, we try to encourage folks, hey, don't sell the farm, don't cut everybody, don't trade everybody in week 2. It's a long season.
Yeah.
Some of these things will kind of auto-correct themselves as folks start rounding into shape and folks start getting their stuff together. And we all know, traditionally, when it comes to football, it's much easier for a defense to look good early than an offense.
And that's what's supposed to happen. If your offense kicking their ass, your defense is trash.
Yeah. Exactly. So who you got?
Man, my fishy receiver is going to be anybody that's catching the pass out of Minnesota until we understand what this quarterback situation looking like. I would not start anybody until I know that Sam Bradford can do a complete drop back and not have to grab his leg. And until he can do that, because this dude went out there and threw 2 passes and walked in the goddamn room like, nah, I ain't got it, bro. So I can't trust nobody on Minnesota right now. I'm kind of scared to play Dalvin Cook the next couple weeks. So anybody that's catching passes in Minnesota. And then Jason Witten, like Hall of Famer, I understand all the numbers. Great ass 2 weeks, but do not get caught in this. He's not gonna keep this up. He's not gonna have 10 catches every week. Me and Marcus went through what the breakdown as far as Dez targets are, and I think everything's gonna start transitioning back to Dez eventually. And all these catches that Witten is catching is gonna start getting between Beasley.
Now you
Dez,
say transition. You saying transitioning back to Dez. How much more can they possibly target Dez?
Well, yeah, he's got 16 targets, but I mean,
but dude is like the leading, the most targeted receiver in the league right now.
Once Dez actually start to catch the ball,
once Dez actually develops enough short area quickness and long range speed to separate from defenders, then he can start catching. That's why I don't think that it's going to change for Witten, because I don't think it's going to change for Dez. If anybody is going to go through and have a spike in their targets and stuff like that, it's probably going to be Beasley and Williams.
Well, but I'm saying,
they're big play guys.
What I'm saying is, every week you're not about to get 10 catches for 97 yards from Jason Witten. That's damn near 20.
But you know the funny part about that, though, in a lot of ways,
his 5 for 50, he consistent for that.
But in a lot of ways, depending, when you look at their schedule and who it rounds out to, especially for the next few weeks and stuff like that, almost by default, that dude might get 8 or 9 targets a game.
So for right now, looking at their schedule, he'll get a consistent 2 more good games out of, playing the Cardinals and also the Rams. But then again, the Cardinals have not been able to stop the run too great this year. So Elliott may have his good day, but their schedule kind of lightens up. So it'll go back to normal, but this is outlier.
Go back to a run heavy team.
I'll trade them off.
Yeah.
There'll always be a run heavy team. There'll always be a run heavy team.
We didn't stay on the waiver wire like toward week 14 or 17. He on the waiver wire.
It's trade bait right now.
Get rid of him. I'm just saying, don't fall for the hype. Great player, Hall of Famer, but he's not going to keep up with this.
Y'all need to stop disrespecting Jason.
Ain't no disrespect.
Jason catching 1,100 this year.
We just trying to warn the people about the fishy and the gritty players, man.
Jason has a cooler full of Fountain of Youth people. Don't you believe these haters? Jason is catching for 1,100 this year.
Okay,
boy.
And Tom Brady throwing for 45.
See, now this is where the Molly that Mr. Griffin just popped.
42 to go. 42 to go.
42 and counting, huh?
Yeah, 42
and 12. That's the way you're gonna do it. 42 and 12.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. That has been the fishy and gritty players that we have for week 2. Now we're going to get into a quick recap of everything that transpired this past weekend, starting with the Thursday night snoozer that had Deshaun Watson winning his first career game on his 22nd birthday. Is it anything that stuck out in this game, guys?
Yes, Deshaun Watson looks great going forward in the future, but as of this season, I would not touch him. No, he looks really good. He has the mechanics.
You said great.
I didn't mean
great. That's the only reason why.
Okay, let me dial it back. We do carelessly use that word. He looks like a good quarterback going forward for the Texans.
Yeah, he's got a bright future.
he has a lot of the mechanics that you like to see in a young black, not black, well, a young mobile quarterback. He has the pocket presence. He has the command of the offense. But going forward, I would, man, Hopkins is good to get his, but Lamar Miller, I am questioning what's going on with him. I would not want him because that Foreman came and really stole into his
Mhm.
production. So,
Ran,
I,
ran, ran the hardest 12 for 40 you ever see behind a trash offensive line.
Well,
But
I mean, we saw that that was going to happen when we watched him in preseason. We knew it was a matter of time before he started cutting in the Miller's payload. And the way that Bill O'Brien and them are on that New England kick, it wasn't like they were really going to make Lamar Miller a quote unquote feature back in the first place. So I expected him to split carries once they got a guy like Foreman in there, which is cool if that's what you want to do. But I mean, if you're going to be a traditional, we defense heavy, we kind of smash mouth and stuff like that. Usually when you're a smash mouth team, one of the biggest factors in that is a workhorse tailback. So leave that part alone. The only thing
speaking
that
of
really
workhorse
stood out to me,
tailbacks, can we officially start this petition to get Joe Mixon a starting job because he is the best running back they have in the
oh
backfield?
yeah, no doubt.
After carrying the Javion Clowney for 5 yards, that was ridiculous.
Like
oh yeah.
Marcus
And
talked about this
the
earlier.
thing that's so funny about this game to me is the fact that it was kind of a snoozer, but then kind of not because you just
If
appreciate
you
it
like,
from the
if you like
perspective
defense,
of.
outside of being Tex fan, if you like defense, this is a hell
But
of a
even
defensive
more
game.
importantly
Pac-Man
to
Jones still
me,
got some good football in him.
oh yeah, to me the bigger thing for me was the fact that it just looked like two football teams that were playing against each other that neither one has an identity yet.
hmm Still trying to find themselves.
Like they don't know who they are. Neither one of them knows who they are, particularly on offense. Uh, so you get those kind of results. You know what I'm saying? Both
Can
defenses
we
look
say
pretty good.
dumbass player of the year is Tyler Eifert jumping out of bounds, then making that perfect, precise finger?
Uh,
Don't
That
talk
was,
about
happens
Eifert
when
like
you,
that.
that was
that's what
the
happens when you
worst
deal
thing.
with them Notre Dame guys.
He jumped fully out of bounds and like toe tapped. I'm like, bro, you did too much, knowing damn well you stepped out of bounds. Man. Come on.
That's what you get from them Notre Dame
One
guys.
thing, one thing I will say about that game that from a fantasy aspect, I saw buy low on AJ Green because let's take
I'm
a
not
walk.
selling them, damn it.
You,
Nah, I ain't selling it.
I know that most people would not, but if you do have those weary, fantasy
Oh
players
yeah,
out
take
there,
advantage.
you have
Oh,
those. I'm gonna tell you this why because he's playing Green Bay, Cleveland, the Bills. Okay, he'll get it going.
let's
It's
get
coming.
let's get right season.
Well,
Got
he
to.
ain't gonna get it going
Got
this
to.
weekend, but maybe with
Oh,
Cleveland and
he
them.
gonna get it going on the Green Bay Packers.
No, he won't.
Red Rocket will be fired up.
He's not gonna outdo Julio.
You
Trust
get
me.
re- oh, he won't
Uh,
outdo Julio, but he will have those
I'm gonna throw
numbers.
this bet out there for
Bro,
anybody who
did
wants to
Julio
take
did Julio
AJ
find
Green.
the end zone?
AJ Green, 80 yards and a touchdown this week. If anybody wants to take that.
Did Julio find the end zone?
But then again, okay, the only way Julio didn't find the end zones because Freeman took two of those touchdowns, but you could easily throw in those to Julio, and I believe
And
AJ
you
Green would
think
get those.
Cincinnati getting inside will not run those three running backs? I'm just saying.
They're gonna throw it to
You
AJ
think
because AJ bitching behind closed
Yeah,
doors.
yeah.
AJ bitching.
Anytime the receivers start complaining,
He
I love it.
bitching. When he complains, he
That's
gets
all
peppered.
well and good, but that coach is playing for his contract right now, and Andy Dalton don't give a damn whatever helps
I,
take off of his performance. So if he got to hand it off 45 times for them to get a W, he'll be more than happy to do that.
I
It's
am
the
fir-
culture in Cincinnati. Trust me.
I am firm. I will firmly believe that AJ Green will have a good, if not great, fantasy Sunday. Book it.
Good luck with that.
let's move to the next game. We got the Cardinals and the Colts. The Cardinals took it in overtime, 16-13. Did anything stick out in this game for you guys?
Somebody
Nelson.
won and somebody lost.
That's it, really. I mean, JJ Nelson is the bright spot of this whole entire game. Other than that, I don't want.
Somebody won and somebody lost. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's about it. Ain't much else you can say. Brissett, he looked okay, but that offensive line is terrible as usual, as we can say about 10 more teams in the NFL.
Man.
Well, let me throw a little bit of fans. Like we talked about earlier, Jack Doyle, JJ Nelson.
CJ, if you want the running back, CJ Anderson's the guy. I mean, Chris Johnson. I keep saying CJ. But
yeah, Chris Johnson is. He's moving up the depth chart.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy if you want to take a chance on somebody.
Still a dumpster fire.
Yeah, definitely. Next game, we got the Eagles and the Chiefs. That was a pretty damn good game. Chiefs pulled it out 27-20. Did anything in this game stick out to you guys?
Zach Ertz is legit, man. I thought he was going to struggle against the Chiefs defense, and he really showed out, and he had a really good fantasy game. Going forward, I am confident to start him every week, honestly.
Weekly. Standard or PPR.
Well,
Yes.
I figured that Ertz was going to have a pretty decent game because Barry isn't in the game,
What
and
about
they weren't
Alshon
about to
Jeffrey?
overcommit and put linebackers on him.
Jeffrey got 13 targets, Wilson.
Yeah. It was a correction. There was a correction there. He started going to his number one target, and he was spreading the ball around. So everybody kind of got their look. Zach Ertz got his money.
It was actually pretty funny because I thought about you, Griff, when I was watching that game because I was sitting with a whole bunch of my buddies. We were watching the game, getting ready to talk some Packers talk and all that other good stuff. And I was looking at Carson Wentz, and I like laughed to myself. I was like, man, I know Griff was going to laugh at me when I say this. During that game, Carson Wentz looked a lot like Brett Favre to me.
Hey, man.
Some of the plays that he made and some of the ways that he made throws, he has a lot of Brett Favre in some of that technique. I was pretty impressed. I will not lie.
One little small detail that stuck out to me: he passed 46 times. They only ran 17, and he had 4 of those carries.
Yeah,
that means this is his offense, dude.
And what's scary about they're not using the running back at all because they have a good offensive line. They're not. Yeah, when Darren Sproles is your leading rusher,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Carson Wentz still had 55 yards. Like, dude, he don't even need to run the ball.
If they smell some type of, I'm not going to say this right now, but if going forward, Philly going into next year, if they were to retain Alshon Jeffrey, get a good running back, they really have the makings of a team that can really go deep. And Carson Wentz is showing flashes of he may be the best. Man, I'm saying up and coming quarterback to me. Everybody loves Dak, but
LaShawn McCoy needs to have his LeBron James moment and go.
He needs to come back. I'm telling you,
it's too late. It's
not too late.
They don't need damage goods.
He played college there. That is good.
Oh man,
do you see the offensive line? All right,
that offensive line is good, and LaShawn McCoy behind a good offensive line. Man, I don't know, but let's not talk too long. Another thing that I pointed out this game, Alex Smith, he still looked good. I would feel confident seeing one more game.
Kareem Hunt.
And there's
Kareem Hunt, blah, 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 blah.
There's one other thing about this game that really, if you are a fan of this show, you will always know that we talked about Travis Kelce and these shovel passes. And when I saw that shovel pass, I said,
"Oh my God,
he's gonna be pissed."
I want to throw my remote at the TV when I see that whack ass shovel pass.
Hey,
you're gonna get that lighting field on that, and it's working now. Somebody is going to knock his head off coming through that hole on that shovel pass, and they're going to be like, oh, sweet Jesus, why did we run at that time?
Oh, yeah, but, man, Henry knows when to use it, man. It looked nice. It looked nice, man.
I mean, it's a nice little wrinkle. I will give him their props for that. It's a nice little wrinkle because he has that ability to kind of make that first person miss, and he'll get you some positive yards off of it, especially when you catch the defense on their heels. But he's not the sturdiest of guys as far as staying healthy, and that's the part that kills me so much.
Yeah, put him in that box and get him killed like that. Yeah,
man, he's gonna get that J.J. Watt on Bodine hit coming off that shovel pass up the middle. That's gonna be like, yeah, somebody reserve a spot next to Greg Olsen for Mr. Kelce.
And just a special shout out to Chris Conley. He's filling in very nice for Jeremy Macklin. Nobody really talks about it, but he had to really step up in his role. Very underrated. He's a big time at Georgia. A lot of people don't know him.
He was good last year.
Yeah, so big shout out.
Yeah, he's been consistent. It's not a huge surprise to people that paid attention, but yeah, he's underrated in my book. Nice waiver wire pickup for those people that are struggling at receiver
in a deep league. Yeah, in a deep
league. And also Aguilar, if he's on your waiver wire, I would take a flyer on him because once again he got peppered with 8 targets, and he had a good.
I was about to say Carson Wentz loved that. Chucking that ball to him down the field.
So if he catches it, hey man, that's some good yardage. So take a flyer on that.
Exactly.
With you 100%, man. The next game we had was the Patriots versus the Saints. That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Where's Brandon Cooks, though? Can anybody explain where is Brandon Cooks?
I heard somebody said that I think they still need to get that chemistry down packed because Brandon Cooks is a kind of Tyreek Hill type of talent where you have to find ways to incorporate him in the offense. But I say when they get that chemistry down, it's gonna be something legit. But right now they're kind of working it together, in my opinion.
I would need Brandon Cooks to try to get his stuff together because I mean
He's not getting open.
You going through from one great QB to another great QB, and the same problems still seem to persist.
Start off slow.
And you
At
was on
the
turf,
end of the
you was on
day,
turf this game.
it ain't.
Like,
And at the end of the day, it can't be the quarterback if it's same situation, two different spots, and we talking about two Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
He started off slow
Just saying.
last year and the year before, so yeah, that is that. I like how you brought that up. I haven't think about that.
I
He
mean,
does
it's one.
start
I
off slow,
mean,
but
I really can't see where the passing game or somebody needing to develop chemistry is a problem when you're talking about developing chemistry with a Drew Brees or a Tom Brady.
that
No,
is
sir.
true.
They don't have to develop chemistry with you.
hell no.
You better
gotta
ask
get on
them.
they, you gotta get on their level,
They
man.
get on their level.
Do we like Corey Coleman? I mean, do we like Coleman? I mean, Brandon Coleman.
Brandon Coleman, I mean, you know Drew Brees. He every now and then, because Tommy Lee Lewis could have easily called a touchdown and had us be like, oh, is Tommy Lee Lewis the next big
I
thing?
think
Josh Hill always get in there. So
Willie Snead effect. It's the Willie Snead effect. He's not playing right now.
as soon as he go out, that's Cleaner and
And it's that
Coleman.
thing, but it's still Drew Brees being Drew Brees and Tom Brady being Tom Brady. They don't get tunnel vision. No matter how good their talent is, they never get tunnel vision. Them dudes spray the ball all over the field.
It was like a 2-year stretch where Heath Evans would score a touchdown at the worst possible times. It was like
Exactly. It's like, why in the hell are you giving the ball to him, dude? I need you to get Colson his TD.
I need Pierre
and Drew be like, yeah, that's the dude I saw. Don't judge me. I'm not here for your fantasy team.
Shut up.
You're like, God damn it.
There is a person, but if you have Michael Thomas, you hold on to him and you hold him tight because two games in a row, he got double-digit targets, so he's getting those targets and he's going to get.
That's going to break free. That's a matter of time.
Two tough teams. You can't really sleep on the matchups, but he can get it going. He will get it going this weekend.
Matter of fact, isn't Carolina coming to town?
Yes, sir. Cookfest.
Get right game.
Corners is kind of suspect.
Yes, sir. Get right game.
Is there any Patriots weapons that you want on your team that if you see them on the waiver wire? Hogan,
man. Hogan
I like James White too. James White is the guy.
He can get them targets.
Tom Brady?
Yep, Tom Brady, Mr. 42 and counting.
Tom Brady
coming off
Tom Brady is the only reliable fantasy football option on that entire offense. Everything else is up for grabs.
See, but I don't see.
There is no other position on that offense.
James White looks good. Hogan looks like they lost another receiver. They don't know if they're gonna have.
And they do. They look viable in stretches, but they don't look viable every single game. The only person that you can count on every single game in that offense, from a fantasy standpoint, is Tom Brady. That's it.
Gostkowski.
Nah.
Nah, man. If
you might only get. You might catch Tom listening to Griffin over here and be like, well, you know what? I do need to throw 45, so he might only be kicking extra points.
Extra points.
Kowski's value down a little bit.
Yes, sir. Down to 0. Get rid of him.
You know what I'm saying? I can't get. They might do like the Dallas Cardi boys back in the day and just, you know what? We're just gonna go for 2 every time.
Hey, do like the Steelers did last year. Go for 2 more than.
We're gonna keep Tom hot. We're going for 2 every touchdown. We're going for 2.
Oh, man, what about the beatdown that happened in Pittsburgh versus the Vikings? Is it all on the quarterback, or did the defense let y'all down a little bit? I mean,
the broken clock is right twice a
Big
day.
Ben at home. Big Ben at home.
Big Ben at home, and it was such an anomaly from the simple fact that Antonio didn't even get off, and they still won going away.
Nah, he don't want to go off this week. That bad.
Hey, Martavis look good, man. Let's go ahead and count that out.
Martavis overrated. He's about to get popped for Molly again.
Hey, don't you talk about the alien like that. That man is as close as you can get to Randy Moss in this league right now. He may not have.
Oh my God, he did not just say. Let me get my Booker T voice on. Tell me he did not just say that.
If you put out the lay of the land and you take away how Madden they got the awareness attribute to make it go up and down. If you take the awareness down on Martavis Bryant, you got Randy Moss.
Boy, stop.
Whoa.
It's the same.
That's a bold claim, man.
That's
a big time deep threat. Like when you throw the ball deep.
Stop. Okay, let me explain something to you real quick. Because obviously you're on the fan wagon right now. There is no team in the NFL that loses sleep worrying about Martavis Bryant. There's no DB in the NFL that loses sleep worried about Martavis Bryant.
Oh
man, you crazy.
The one thing I will say about Martavis Bryant is there's a thing about him that I don't like. He doesn't get a lot of receptions, and he doesn't get a lot of targets.
He's a big play guy.
See, and I can't trust him.
Because Ben don't trust him because he ain't an everyday player. He ain't an every down guy. He's not dependable like that.
See, that's why Martavis. That's the guy I get if it's like that 40.
He's not Randy Moss. He's Alvin Harper.
On the big touchdowns.
Like, can I tell you?
He's that big touchdown player.
He's Alvin Harper. He's Alvin Harper.
He's in a category with Martavis Bryant,
Ted Ginn,
Deshaun Jackson, Ted.
Deshaun
And I'm
Jackson.
not putting Ted Ginn in there. I'm
No,
talking
Ted
about
Ginn
people.
is in there. He's
No,
not
I'm
consistent.
not. No, the reason I'm not putting them in here because I'm saying the people that only show up at home games. Terrence Williams. Those are the type of receivers that show up in home games, but in away games, they do not
Out of them.
show up at
Out of them.
all.
That's
And
just the
Martavis.
Steelers. That's just the Steelers, though, man.
No, it's not just
Whatever.
the Steelers because Deshaun Jackson has that problem. When he was with the Redskins, you knew he was only going to show up at home, but when he's on the
I mean,
road, he does show up.
look at our boy TP. Is that a lot to do with Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins not
Man, that's
consistent.
Kirk Cousins. That's
So
Kirk Cousins.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
Like,
Kirk
That's the
Cousins,
real.
man.
Yeah,
Deshaun
those
Jackson with the
define.
Eagles, anywhere he went, he was a weapon. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't know,
I see what
man.
you're saying. I see what you're
Nick
saying, bro.
Foles, he got tunnel vision when he got home, man. You know, this is the Eagle fan over here.
I got you, man. I hear what you're saying. I hear what
But
you're
yeah,
saying.
going forward, if you have Martavis, you're happy. You know, I personally would trade him off. But you know, if you're,
Comparing
Send him out.
Martavis Bryant to Randy Moss is the
you keep him.
ultimate form of disrespect.
Ain't no disrespect, man. That's big play talent. You want a big play receiver on the field, Martavis Bryant is your guy.
Okay, and let's also
Whatever.
talk about Davin Cook. I know he had kind of struggled last game, but
Well, I mean,
he's
because
gonna
they
get
was in the box. They
That's
was
why.
He struggled because the game plan shifted once they knew Sam Bradford wasn't playing. They was
Exactly.
like, oh, don't worry about it. Put 9 in the box.
last
My
week. We
depression
talked
went down.
about the magical number being what, like 40 rush attempts. They had 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They
Yeah.
passed about 38 times. That's not Minnesota Vikings football. That's not how they gonna win, man.
but yeah,
Well, at least not with Sam Bradford not playing.
yeah.
It's not.
Exactly.
If
So
Sam
everybody
was
got
there and they threw
downgraded.
38 times, they probably would have won the game.
When I heard if you have enough common knowledge, when Case Keenum, when you heard he was gonna start, you was like, yeah, okay, everybody's about to
Move
take a
them
dip.
all out. Yeah, move them all out. When Laquan Treadwell get 3 catches in the game, something's wrong with the offense.
That's a problem.
That's
That's a
just the big
problem.
question mark right there. But moving to the next game, man, we had the fresh Buccaneers destroying on Mike Glennon and the Bears. The Buccaneers look impressive to me, man. Like
That
the defense.
defense,
That's
Woo!
adrenaline.
There was that
That's
defense.
adrenaline.
I know, but they came out ready to play. Like it's one thing to come out there and lay an egg. They came out there and they damn near didn't want to get him that touchdown at the end. They like,
But
we'll let y'all go.
there is a problem. Jameis Winston did look kind of a little off. Mike Evans looked really good, but Jameis' connection with everybody else looked really off. And that's from Jaquiz Roger to Bray to Deshaun Jackson. He had it good with Mike Evans, but with everybody else, it was kind of off. And you would think you would be on if you coming off a quote unquote bye week. So that's another thing to look at. That defense is legit. I don't know. They probably did turn it up a little bit because they fight Mike Glennon, but who knows? But going forward, I want to still look at Jameis and see how he does, especially this week going against Minnesota. If he balls against Minnesota, okay, then he might be legit this year.
And they want to run the ball. 34 rush attempts is nothing to sneeze at. They
Jaquiz
wanna run
look
the ball.
good.
Yeah,
Doug
they're
Martin's gonna
going
be
to
an
be
animal.
they're going to be tested, however, because Jameis is about to have his favorite weapon taken away in a major way. One of the things that
Xavier
isn't
Rhodes.
being talked about, Xavier Rhodes has been embarrassing wide receivers this
And he
this,
shut down Brown.
season.
He shut down Brown.
He killed Brown to 2 catches. Who did they play the week before that?
The
Who
Saints.
they play? The
Michael
Saints?
Thomas.
The
Michael
Saints?
Thomas
Yeah,
didn't
he
do
had
nothing
what, 3 catches?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't too good for Mike.
Neither
No,
one
he had
had
5
40
catches, but
yards
he
or
like
50
under.
yards.
Yeah, he went under 50. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike is about to have his hands cut out because you talk about prototypical shutdown corner in today's league. He's got it. Speed, press off the line, the size, the height, the length. That dude is a tall order. No
'Cause
pun
that's-
intended, but pun completely intended.
Yeah.
That's one of the guys that Mike won't be able to just bully around and out muscle. And with that being said, it's going to be interesting to see how Jameis can step up to the plate and diversify, the offense enough to spread it around, to overcome that, attack the weaknesses, and not just land in and get in tunnel vision.
But yeah, that's
part of that process.
That's the stretch because he has Minnesota, the Giants, and he has New England. So that's going to be a test for him because Jack Rabbit is coming back. So he's going to be on Evan. So once again, to see how he's going to work with all them other receivers. Get Cameron Brate in your lineup.
In my weekly public service announcement, trade Jordan Howard if you care about your fantasy team. I'm just trying to let the people know.
He was in a sling. I know. I don't know. We didn't report that. Yeah, he might be in a trade scenario. But then again, I don't know, man. John Fox, man, that dude cannot stick to one running back.
He needs to put the best quarterback in the game. That's the problem.
Oh, well,
why is
put your
Trubisky
in
not
there.
out there? You 0-2. What are you playing for?
I don't know.
Because the Bears have no playoff expectations, so you don't kill your quarterback. You save your
Ah,
franchise.
okay. Well, there you go.
Hey, let me see what he got, man. God damn,
Just take a just take a
it's
page.
no bright spots. It's no bright
You take
spots
a
on it.
page from the teams that you've seen over the years, the different situations that you've been in as a coach and a coordinator, and you ask yourself, am I really willing to put the guy out here that we traded the top half of our draft for to just let him be a tackling dummy? There's time to go and see what he has, but that's later in the season. Right now, while everything is still fresh with everybody and everybody still has that audacity of hope for playoff expectations and we can still win and we're still good, no. You go through and you get that sample size around week 10 or week 11 when the Bears, depending on how they're working, it's probably on the brink of being mathematically eliminated. And then you test the waters, you kick the tires, and you see what he's got, see how he can handle some live action with some live ammo being thrown at him. Other than that, like you said, because the Bears are trash and they have nothing really there, they have nothing to really gain by putting him out there. Save the young man, let him tote that clipboard, let him learn. That's what you're paying Glennon that money for in the first place, is to be a placeholder. So let him be a placeholder, let him be that tackling dummy. Because the minute you decide, like in week 4 or week 5, oh, we're gonna put Trubisky out there and he gets his fucking head knocked off and is out for the season, then people gonna be screaming, oh my God, the coach is so dumb, he needs to be fired, this, that, and the other.
For from a
Lay up,
fantasy,
10 cup, play it safe.
from another fantasy standpoint, that boy Kendall Wright had a great, for a great game for him. Basically, he had 10 targets, he got 7 receptions. So in a PPR, 7 receptions for
Yeah, that's
69
awesome.
yards. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I
that's awesome.
say he's gonna be the de facto #1. And once again, he has the whole offensive. I know you laugh at that, but I think he's quietly gonna have. I think he can quietly have 100 catches. Don't.
I mean,
I
he
wouldn't even
really
laugh at
has no choice at this point with all the receivers that have gone down. Like he probably can get that or close to that by default.
PPR. You take a flyer on him. I'm pretty sure he's a good flex wide receiver 3.
And on the IDP tip, if you need a safety that's a tackling monster, put Eddie Jackson in your lineup because that dude is gonna make every tackle for those Bears if nobody else there.
Yep.
So I love the guy.
Yep.
Shout out, Road Tide one time. And this terrible game that happened in Carolina. What the hell is Cam Newton doing? They won 9-3, but Cam Newton, dude,
He still looks hurt. He still looks hurt. And then losing Greg Olsen is
Somebody
going to just.
won and somebody lost.
Yeah, man. You gotta.
Any other questions? Kelvin Benjamin has
Somebody won and somebody lost. It's sad to say when you think about the two teams that we just mentioned, but somebody won, somebody lost.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Carolina, I mean, if you a fan of like having their players and you don't have Greg Olsen, you are happy for if you have Kelvin Benjamin, McCaffrey, maybe Jonathan Stewart, Funches, those people are about to have
maybe Curtis Samuel. They should get an uptick.
Did
They should.
Getting those 2 sacks kind of leave a bittersweet moment in you with him leaving the Packers and going to dominate a little bit for Carolina?
No, we were all happy. We were all happy for him to go home and play for the team that originally drafted him. Man, there's no hard feelings with him. We knew how it was going to go from a business standpoint, and I have no problems with him getting his 2 because hell, Clay Matthews had 1.5. So I mean, I'll take it. I'm good.
Once again, the flyer, Funches, the boy Funches had 7 targets playing New Orleans this week.
And if you desperate for a
but again, it's New Orleans.
Ed Dixon is going to be the guy with Olsen out, but that's if you're desperate because we don't know what the hell Cam Newton offense is going to look like the next couple of weeks.
That is true. We just know Kelvin Benjamin will get some targets.
He's going to get all the
man. He should.
You think is McCaffrey going to get an upgrade, or are you still?
I think so.
I think McCaffrey gets an upgrade in the number of actual rushing attempts that he's going to get over the next few weeks.
Because Stewart look bad.
His targets might be the same as far as in the passing game, but I think he's going to get a slight uptick in the number of carries that he gets offered.
Oh, I'm with you 100%.
From the other side of the ball, man, Tyrod, his offensive weapons let him down.
T-Mobile's Wi-Fi is out.
Man, man, it's out of there, man. It's down, man. He switched to Sprint. I don't know what's going on.
Man, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Man.
The only thing that I will look at if you're a LaShawn McCoy owner like myself, Carolina's run defense has improved this year, so they really are stopping.
It was always good. They just need their boy.
Yeah, as long as Luke Kuechly is there, they will always have a run defense. So
if Luke in the middle, it's a wrap.
If there's a team going against the Carolina Panthers and you have one of the starting running backs on the other side of the ball, be cautious of playing against them.
And this may be hype, but Peppers, Short, and Johnson on that line look pretty fucking good. Like, it may be hype. That's just me, but
Is
they,
Star
they
still on that line too?
yeah, Star still in there on the
Shit,
rotation.
don't leave him out.
I mean, he's rotational, but yeah, when they need a big nose tackle coming in, if they want to do the four boys down there, he
Because I
comes.
mean, they traditionally play that 4-3. They
Yeah,
kind of hybrid it up from every now and then, but usually they have that 4 across. And Star is underrated in my opinion as a run stopper. He's not going to be that flashy guy, but he plugs them gaps. He gets them tackles in there when you least expect.
And Clay will be back. He will have a bounce back game. I know that was.
oh, he
If
gonna get
anything,
he gonna get the targets. That's
he'll
nothing.
get his.
He gonna get his.
He'll
Yeah,
get his
he gonna
this
get
week.
his.
He'll get
It's
his
just
this
when
week.
you got Uncle Luke in the middle, you ain't passing in the middle, bro. So,
Yeah, he gonna get
Nah.
his this week against Denver because if Jason Witten can get 10 targets and 9 catches for whatever he got, then I think that he's gonna come through and really eat against Denver, in my opinion. So
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Then those Titans beat up on these Jaguars 37-16. What stuck out in this game to you guys?
Marquise Lee, man, and Hearns, both of them still fantasy relevant. Both of them had actually decent games for the PPR standpoint. So you want to give them some love. Both of them average what? They both had, I want to say, 9 targets. So that's always good. And then
Mhm.
Fournette, garbage time, but he still got a garbage time touchdown. So he's still fantasy relevant.
Yeah, in fantasy football, there is no such thing as garbage time. So I don't care when he got it.
Touchdown is
He
a
got it.
touchdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got it.
From the Titans standpoint, man, it's time for to let, like we said earlier, Derrick Henry, man, let that man eat. Let him play. DeMarco,
Hold on,
sit, get your hamstring ready.
hold on, Marcus. Let me get my ticket. I want to cash in for this hype train. See if it's
Uh-oh.
space.
Oh man.
Is it? You want to hop on, Wilson? You want to hop on
What am I hopping on?
this Derrick Henry hype train?
Oh well, I mean, you guys will have to excuse me because you remember I'm the guy that hopped on the hype train on the team. Period.
That is
I
true.
still
You are
haven't
the
won in 12
flyer.
games. I
You are the
mean, I
flyer.
had him winning the division going away. I told y'all when we did our season preview. I've
Man,
always
it's
been
still
high
good.
on him.
Still
But
good.
as far as Henry, all three of us in the consensus are extremely high on Henry. We just didn't know if he was going to get the opportunity because we know that they were still kind of loyal to Murray. But we also knew that Murray is injury prone, so it's just a matter of time. I'm kind of interested to see if this is that Don Mikowski, Brett Favre moment where, okay, well, you picked the wrong time to get injured because you might not never get your job back.
Yeah, and then he's got a tough schedule: Seattle, Houston, Miami, and then
And if he
it's.
shows up in those games, I see no
Mhm.
reason to let DeMarco Murray get his job back.
Ain't
And
no
I
turning
want and I don't know what to make out the wide receiver position and on the Titans end. I mean, you don't know who's gonna eat
back. Delaney
what
gonna get
given
his
Yeah.
day.
Delaney gonna get
Delay.
his 10 in PPR, and then everything else is like,
So I mean, shoot, you could take a flyer and just hope for the best on some of these
stay away.
people.
Just get one of the running backs. Yeah.
Yeah, I go for the running backs. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
going
mean,
for the wide
Look,
I
receiver.
mean, right now,
Justin Fowler, he scored a touchdown. Like, come on, man.
yeah, I mean, it puts
Delaney
you in a
Walker
position
ran
now
one in.
where
Come on, bro. See?
it puts you in a position now where hell, even Marcus Mariota is questionable as far as fantasy production
That's
is
true.
concerned.
That's true. He's kind of letting me down this year, but
Yeah,
hopefully he'll
like
bounce up.
he's
It's
more middle
early,
of the pack than I thought that he would be at this point. But
but
it's
they won it.
again, yeah, it's still
They
week
won
2.
that game, and that Raiders game was kind of tough. It was still a filling out process, so we'll
Yeah,
see how he look going forward. Definitely.
we'll check back on it in week 6. It's
Oh
all
yeah,
good.
no doubt. We'll check back with him. And we had the Ravens destroy those Browns 24-10. Anything stuck out in this game outside these migraines? That
Hey, the Ravens defense is legit. We got to give them some love, man.
when my boy CJ Mosley get back into the
Thing
fold,
that's the only thing that's legit on that entire team. Yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
if he stay healthy, it's a wrap. And Tony Jefferson feeling in pretty damn nice too. They moved him all over the field. Then he snuck in the
Yeah,
quarterback hit tackle for a loss, so he doing his thing out there.
they're
and
doing it the quote unquote Baltimore way right now.
Yes, sir.
They're doing it with defense.
And a
if you
big shout out to Jimmy Smith. I think this is one of the most underrated cornerbacks for a long time. He was part of that Super Bowl run that the Ravens did when they threw him out there on the island and said, "Hey, we need you to do man up." And I feel like he's been
Yeah.
pretty damn consistent over the past 3 years compared to what he was his rookie year.
Yeah, and then on from the running back position, Terrence West is banged up, so Javoris Allen, Buck Allen is gonna get his little uptick. I'm still not sold on Buck Allen. I know a
I'm
lot
not
of
sold
people.
on either one
I
of
know
them.
a lot of people are
Marshall
really
Yonder, Marshall Yonder.
people. That
Exactly.
loss right there is
Exactly.
huge. That is a huge.
I'm not sold on either one of them for
You
that
know what's
reason.
crazy about it? We listen. I know y'all listen to fantasy shows. I don't know if a lot of people out there listen to them, but I know I listen to some, and they give you some of the cookie cutter, cutout type of answers. And I'm not gonna tell you to pick up Javoris Allen because I've seen Buck Allen really have a one good game last year and then tail off. Like I've seen it too many
Did
times
nothing.
to trust him. And then once again, that it's
Well,
going.
you see that out of Baltimore running. Remember Kenneth Dixon had that hot
Yeah,
ass 2 weeks and
Man,
then bummed it up and then had a good ass week 17 when he got
Forsett,
suspended.
Forsett. They had Talaferro. He had a few good games.
Yeah,
I think the list is long. I mean, I wouldn't take a flyer on the other side of the ball. Man, you gotta buy low on Crowell because if he doesn't eat this week, man, I am
he
really
got to
scared.
well,
figure
see,
it.
here's the thing about Crowell, and it's kind of no fault of his own, but when you come out and you're on a team that's constantly playing from behind, you have no time to get your run game in.
But look,
That's
we
been the
playing
biggest
next.
hurdle for Crowell and the Browns. And again, it's one of those things that depending on how they can improve their situation on offense with the quarterback play and stuff like that, he has an ability to get you some pretty surprising games or some sneaky games later on if they can stay more competitive and be able to use the run game more consistently. But as of
Play
right
him this
now,
week.
yeah, I really wouldn't touch him.
I'll play him this week playing the Colts.
Yeah, this like
This only week.
that last chance start for Crowell.
If you
Colts
want,
and Saints, sir. Colts and Saints. If I have
if
any
you want,
offensive players in fantasy football playing either one, I'm starting them all.
or the Jets, I would play anybody against the Jets also. But if you want to take a flyer on Duke Johnson, I mean, he started getting the looks, he started getting the
That's
targets.
not no
Yeah.
fly. I think with Corey Coleman out, this guy's gonna be the man in the slide. I think he's gonna be lined up at receiver a lot more than
He's
people
gonna have
think.
to.
So I think as a running back, you're gonna get receiver production out of Duke Johnson, and he may sneak in 4 or 5 carries. So
Oh, and drop Britt. You're safe to drop Britt. I mean,
that hurts.
Man,
no love.
unfortunately.
We talked about it earlier. No love.
I'd much rather have David Njoku at the tight end position. I think his upside is gonna show pretty soon, and he's gonna be a guy that's getting like 6 to 8 targets pretty soon on his offense, along
All
with
right.
Rashard Higgins.
Yeah.
You can just move
Still
on.
Yeah,
love you,
it's
Coach.
depressing.
I still
Yeah,
love you,
it's
Keith.
pretty depressing talking about the Browns.
I,
But shout out
I
to the
still love
Raiders
you, Keith.
who destroyed those Jets this week, 45-20. Did y'all see Marshawn Lynch
No,
wigging on the
no,
sideline?
son.
Hey,
Is he not
No,
having
son.
fun right
Stop the
now?
presses. Stop the presses. Stop the
what you gotta
presses.
say? What you gotta say?
Oh man,
I have an issue. This
whoa!
is flat out disrespectful. Everybody out there in Raider Nation, everybody out there that's rocking and rolling for that black and silver. How in all name do you allow a team like the New York Jets to score 20 points on you?
That is a lot. Like Josh
That,
McCown had 2
How do you
touchdowns
allow
to the same
20?
person. Like
20.
y'all can't
Two
guard him.
TDs to the same dude. How
hey,
does that happen?
hey, hold on. That's this is another thing that we need. Did we underrate? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this right quick. Did we underrate Golden Tate and Curse? They looked kind of bad when they was with Seattle, but when they got on another squad, they kind of picked it up. And Curse makes some
Well,
pretty
no,
impressive catches.
with Curse is part of the reason why Seattle is struggling right now because they
Exactly.
traded off their best playmaking receiver
Yeah, because Kurt's not a
for
volume
a
guy.
defensive lineman.
He's a big play guy. He's not a volume guy.
Yeah, he's there. He was their big play guy. Everybody was so locked in on Tyler Lockett and Paul Richardson and stuff like that in that passing game. And I was like, okay, but Curse is the dude that makes them really go. Curse is the dude that makes them pop so they can pull off their offense the way that they want to pull it off. When you took that aspect away from Russell, Russell was like, shit, now I got to run for 800 yards this year for us to be 8-8. It's really affected the way that they played, and it's really helped out things for New York because it gives McCown a viable outlet that people don't really pay attention to.
And the crazy part is when that trade first happened, people thought they stole Sheldon Richardson away from him.
And
Like
can I,
just straight up stole
They
him.
got rid of a malcontent and actually got a playmaker. I thought it was a pretty much a push. Both
Yeah,
teams were going to benefit from it,
I'm
just
with
in different ways.
you know what amazes me sometimes that we forget about how important handcuffs can be. If you have Marshawn Lynch, you need to go get Rashard for the simple
Oh, hell
Jalen
yes.
Rashard. For the only reason is I can't see Marshawn staying healthy going against some of the defense. You got to go against Denver 2 times. You got to go against Baltimore. You got to go against the Giants. You got to go against Kansas City. If he can stay healthy, then ride with it. But if you lose Marshawn and Jalen Rashard is out there on the waiver wire, somebody picks him up. Whoo! You talking about fantasy explosion? Damn.
But the thing that saves you when it comes to Marshawn, though, is that unlike in Seattle, Marshawn is fully aware that he's playing on a passing team, and they're not going to overload him like they did in Seattle.
That is true.
The possibility still exists, but instead of 25 touches that he was getting in Seattle, he'll probably get between like 20 to 25 in Oakland. And I think that's part of the reason why he came there is because he didn't want to be that workhorse. I got to get it every down guy. I want to be able to play for the team that I love in the city that I love with a great offense, and it's not all on me. Uh,
And,
because he's not a young
and
guy anymore. When he was younger and he wanted to be the man and stuff like that, okay, he had his time to be the workhorse, and I mean a fucking beast, no pun intended. But now he's a little bit older. He's still blessed to be with a team that's a contender. Get out there, get your 15 to 25 touches, and just ride with it.
and then also from another fantasy standpoint, you got to give some like people really been dogging that boy Cooper like he ain't been getting touches. He was one less target away from leading the team, and Carr is really spreading the ball around. Crabtree just had to have the weaker of the DBs out there, and that's why he
Exactly.
was so fantasy relevant. I don't know why people like really dog Cooper. Like he really just can't get no separation. Like he the new Dez and he can't run routes. I just feel like,
Well,
hey, it is
Oh
what
boy,
it
that's
is.
one of the best
my
road runners in
thing,
the league.
Yeah, they
yeah, my
talk
thing
bad
is
on him.
this. My thing is this. At the end of the day, if Carr ain't complaining about him, I ain't trying to hear what nobody
Yeah,
else got to
hush up.
say.
Yeah,
If
I like
if Carr
Cooper.
ain't complaining about him, then it ain't no problem.
I like Cooper. I
Period.
like Amari Cooper. And if nobody, if you don't like him, trust me, I'll be happy to trade for him because
And
he got Washington
let's
coming up.
If
let's not forget
somebody's
about the
stupid
other
enough to do
first round talent that's on that team. Cordell Patterson. Now don't act like this guy didn't go first
Oh,
round because they
they used
explosiveness.
him.
Khalil
They
Mack,
using him.
He's explosive.
you said
They
Khalil Mack?
no Cordell Patterson.
Oh, because
Like
you said first round talent. I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Patterson's
My
being
bad.
utilized once again. He's on a team where gonna use that speed,
yep.
and he busts one off. You know, like not trying to be, that sounded kind of gross, but yeah,
No,
he
no, no.
he
But
got loose
everything you
and
say is 100
figured it out.
fact because Lynch and Patterson, those are two playmakers. You add them to this team. Now they bring a different dynamic. Now you got a player. They come and get you a 43-yard touchdown rush. Like goddamn, and play receiver and
Well, I
kick
mean,
return. Like
you
shit.
look at it in a grand scheme of things. I mean, out of Crabtree, Cooper, and Patterson, who resembles the more traditional Raider wide receiver?
Patterson.
Exactly. I mean,
That's a Davis
this was
guy.
a dream come true for him. This was a dream come true for
This is
him.
what
He's
he
like,
needed.
This is
cool.
Darius Hayward Bay again. Like oh, we
Yeah.
get a redo.
He was
And
like,
and,
man, they would never throwing me the ball in
and,
Minnesota. Hell yeah, I'm
and
here.
I'm gonna scream this name out before we move on. Lane, I'm sorry. The Steelers are not better than the Raiders. You can stop it. You can
Hey,
stop it.
hey, hey! Now, whoa!
Oh man,
Don't talk about the Super Bowl winning Steelers like
my
that,
man
man.
went
No,
on his
no,
yeah. I forgot he went on that rant listening to them clickbait power rankings.
yeah,
Man, it's week
man.
two. Ain't nobody worried about no
Ain't nobody
power
worried about it.
rankings, man.
The Steelers played who? The backup quarterback for the Vikings, and
Hey,
then they played
Aiden,
the
Aiden,
Browns.
2-0, 2-0,
Exactly. And I almost lost to the Browns. Get over it.
Oh yeah, almost off with the Browns. Come on, bro.
All good. It's
Okay,
all
keep
good.
going, but you keep going. Nobody relevant on the Jets except Curse. If you want Curse, fly. Take a fly on Curse. I think it's
You can
legit.
take a flyer on Kurtz. You can take a flyer on Safarian Jenkins, like
Barry
Demarcus
Jenkins.
said,
That's gonna
because he'll be coming back off
that's gonna
suspension.
be
It'll
the
be
volume
interesting to see
guy.
how
Or
that
it's gonna
works.
be the big play guy. That's gonna be the two key
But
calls.
now I will say this: in y'all's opinion, if Safarian Jenkins comes back and he's productive, he can make some plays, and what they already got going with Curse, what does that do for McCown's value as a waiver wire pickup?
Oh, I've always liked McCown. Shit, I always thought
That's
he.
a
And I mean,
desperate
I've liked him, but he
Bowie.
just didn't have nothing to
That's
work with. But
that's a
now he
Bowie.
has something to work with.
That's
That's
a
what I'm
Bowie
saying
start.
with him. But I would put him in if the matchup is right. So when they playing one of them
I mean,
bad
but you
defense,
got
throw
to
him
think
in there.
about this. You got to think about your boy Marcus. I know you kind of down on, him, but if Bilal Powell get going, that's going to help their fantasy value. I
Matt
mean,
Forte
Hey,
got to
for
go sit
real.
down somewhere. Matt Forte just got to be.
they can feed both in that sorry ass offense. If you want to be completely
Oh
honest.
my
And I
god.
mean, honestly, you go through, and even more so with Bilal because he'll stay so active in that passing game as well. I mean, the potential is there. It's just a matter of if it can click or not.
That's true.
For the
Todd
Raiders
Bowles didn't
for
get
the
together.
Raiders to win by 25 points, they only had two more rushing attempts than New York. So New York want to run, they want to use their running backs. Clearly, that's their best
Yeah.
weapon. And until Curse get going and Safarian Jenkins get back, those are their best weapons.
Yeah, let's move on.
Definitely. We had the Miami Dolphins and the Chargers go at it. The Chargers just can't catch a break. Young Hoku.
Oh man, we
What are
cannot catch a break.
What's wrong with that young hoe?
Man, he ain't got it together. That young ho need to
Young
get some.
Hoku.
Yeah, that young hoe tripping.
He needs some experience. He need to be passed around a
Hey,
little bit and
hey,
get some
hey,
That's
young
why
experience.
you
Ho
don't
had
deal with them young hoes. That's why
Hey,
you
young
don't
Ho
deal with them
had
young
a
hoes.
monster on the other side of Jai going 28 for 122. Ain't shit you could do about that.
No, not
They
at
ran
all.
all over that defense.
The things I took away from this game is Jay Cutler has the potential to be fantasy relevant. Jay is the workhorse. 28 out of the 29 carries on the team, he got 28. And then we got to give some love to Devontae Parker. I think this is his fantasy
Well, we
breakout
knew in
year.
preseason that Cutler was fond of Devontae.
But we did
It
not
was
know
it was
that.
it was Jarvis that we was
We did
concerned
not
with.
see Jarvis Landry getting 15 targets. I did not see that.
No,
When I'm
that was an
looking up,
added bonus. That was an added bonus.
wow. They said literally they were saying in preseason that Jarvis Landry looked like he was about to be phased out the offense. He was going to be trade bait.
One gonna
And
get
then
no
all of a sudden,
Yeah,
contract.
because
It was
all
negative.
Cutler was throwing to was Devontae Parker.
and it was impressive, man. I saw it, man. The Dolphins look good if they can get something going on defense.
Hey,
I mean,
Keenan Allen, shout out to Keenan.
yeah, Oh, I'm not gonna.
Hello.
I cannot forget about the catch target, the catch magnet, Keenan Allen. Fantastic. I think it's bounce
Stay
back
healthy,
here.
young man.
He
Stay
stay
healthy.
healthy.
That's
Hunter
all it
Henry.
is.
We
That's
talked
all it
about
is.
Hunter Henry
That's,
earlier,
that's
so
that's the hardest thing for him. Just stay healthy, young man. I mean,
Phillip
he's got
Rivers,
all the talent in the
if
world,
you
and we
turn
know
off
it.
injuries like on Madden, that's 1,800 yards.
yeah,
Easy.
man.
Man, all the
That's
time. Like that dude can light it up if he's healthy. But that's like the
If-
biggest what if.
yeah.
with him. Yeah.
Diggs reminds me of a great value version of Keenan Allen.
Oh,
If you think
man.
about it, they both can catch real good. They both have good route running skills, and
And did he
they're very
just call
elusive.
him the? Did he just call him the great value, Keenan Allen? Did he?
Yeah.
Did
When
he
he got
call him
he got
Walmart?
he got Sam Bradford throwing. Like he don't got no guts nigga like Phillip.
Hey, and the target, and what's that? What's the target? What's the target one? What target name? I guess Golden Tate will be the target version of Keenan Allen.
Man, you better shut up.
You're wrong for that.
But yeah, man, you gotta get some
He's
love.
super
Hey, Phillip
wrong.
Rivers. Hey, Phillip Rivers is going to
Old man
be.
still
Man,
got bullets left in the gun.
still got it. He still got it.
Old man still got bullets left in the gun. God bless him.
He gonna start, and this is what is gonna start happening. The correction is gonna start happening. Phillip Rivers gonna say, "Fuck kicking these fucking field goals. I'm gonna have to take over these games, and I'm gonna love it because Phillip hasn't been throwing the touchdowns because he kind of been going with the flow of they got the wide receiver they're trying to get to the running game more. He gonna start
You
taking
only have
over.
14 carries. That's the problem. Like I don't understand how the hell you only have 14 carries. You got
I
Melvin
don't
Gordon
know.
and J.J. got 30 touches on the other side. What
Yeah,
the hell
man.
is that?
So yeah, everybody fancy relevant on this squad, and if you want to take a flyer on Kenny Stills, he's still gonna be relevant. So hey, it is
Oh
what
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, he
And
may
that's
catch
the
a
funny
big play
part
every now
about it. A
and then.
lot of people don't take the time to really appreciate the totality of Miami's offense. They got a lot of talent.
They
on
got
that damn offense.
weapons.
You still throw in Julius Thomas at tight end, who I think is going to have a really good season with
Mhm.
Cutler throwing the ball. They got a lot of really
He has-
significant weapons from a fantasy football standpoint.
People sleep on Kenyon Drake and what he can do in the offense. Also, not saying he fantasy.
I like Keandre. Yeah, I like
but
Keandre.
he comes in.
I
Open
like
up,
him
and Jakeem Grant. I mean, they both open up the offense, man.
If they start using J.J. to catch the ball some, man, they have Chicago light offense over there. They don't have two big receivers, and that's what kind of held Chicago down, in my opinion. They needed a quick, just throw it to in between tackles like your boy, what's his name, Jarvis Landry. So they got the makings of a good squad, but they can't
yes,
get
sir.
past the Patriots.
Skip.
Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see.
Skip. How about them Cowboys?
Man, them Cowboys look garbage. And I said that, and I told y'all that Denver's defense is legit, man. Man,
Yes,
that
you did.
defense is something to look at, and I am really impressed with Trevor Siemian. I saw last year in some of the games that a lot of people were knocking him on, you could see that he had the qualities. And there was something that Talib came out and said that he has the inner workings of a young Peyton Manning. And if you watch him play, you can pick up on some of that.
He's not stupid. He's not lost out there.
Exactly.
He can play.
He has a command of that offense, and I like what they see. I loving how they're using Demaryius Thomas more this year. Sanders look good. They did lose a third wide receiver. What's his name? Fowler? What was his name? I don't remember his name.
I can't remember his name.
Benny Fowler.
Fowler. Yeah, they lost him. He got hurt. But once again, Jamal Charles, a healthy Jamal Charles, healthy C.J. Anderson. Man, this looks good. They look good, man.
This is Jamal Charles I thought was going to come back to the Chiefs last year.
Oh, he looked good, don't he? Them jump cuts. His jump cuts are, man.
But they always been there. But on a serious note, is there any concern for Dallas?
This is a game for me that I think that people shouldn't take
serious
too much stock in, because I think that it was a bit of an exaggeration for both teams. I do not think that overall that Denver is that dominant as a team. I do not think that Dallas will be that bad as a team. I just think that it was one of those things that Ball kind of bounced the right way for Denver, didn't bounce so good for Dallas. I think that storm delay had a whole lot to do with it as well.
That is true.
It's hard to go with a 2 hour gap.
And
Or was it
keep that
hour and a half?
adrenaline pumping. Like
That
that's
adrenaline
like
pumping,
yeah.
and you're already coming back to a situation where you were already down a touchdown. Uh, I don't say that to say, oh, well, this was a fluke and Denver ain't that good, or that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there were so many extenuating circumstances in this game that it's kind of one of those things you just kind of take and put in a vacuum, sit it by itself, and be like, okay, let's see what these teams do next week, and we can probably get a better gauge
Can
as
I?
to how good or how bad they are.
Dallas is Dallas. Dez got 16 targets, so he's gonna be good. Jason Witten, it's going. Dallas has a tough couple of games, so they're gonna rely on Jason Witten and Beasley. But I want to talk about Denver right quick. I think Denver will be relevant, and I think Trevor Simeon will be relevant
Hmm.
because
If CJ Anderson run like this,
yeah, it's
Man,
CJ, and
oh
the only reason why I
yes,
say that, is because that running game, the 1-2 punch, and they have to get Booker back. But this is their schedule. They got Buffalo, Oakland, bye. Then they come back with the Giants, and you know how terrible the Giants is. So Chargers, Kansas City, man, they have a nice schedule that they could really have some fantasy productive players on there, from Sanders, Demarius to Simeon. So I don't know, man. I might say that
they
Trevor
have a nice
Simeon.
record, but here's the thing that you got to keep in mind too, and this is going to be one of the keys going down the stretch. Over the last 2 years, Denver, Oakland in their division, 6-6.
That is true. That
Kansas
is
City
true.
is Kansas City is 11-1.
That's the scary part. That is the scary part. And I really, that's the
So
game I'm
we can
looking
go
for.
through and we can say that, but at the end of the day, when it comes to those three teams, I really don't pay attention too much to what they do out of division. I'm more concerned about what they do in their division, because their division is a bloodbath.
That's what I
And
want to
that's
look
going to
at.
be the biggest key for the Broncos. How they do against the Chargers, how they do against the Raiders, how they do against the Chiefs. To me, that's going to weigh more on their season than the opponents, if it makes sense, because that division historically, especially over the last 5-6 years, there's so much momentum that you carry from how you do in your division as to how much better you're going to play when you get out of your division. When they start losing them divisional games, or they start splitting those fluke divisional games, and we've seen it a million times, it affects it affects their play when it comes to playing teams outside of their division.
I
Uh,
agree. We'd like to see
you could
how
get caught
what
up
they
in a
run.
trap game. Like for me, picture perfect trap game for Denver is going to be the Giants.
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
see how they going. We're gonna see how they look. I mean, they're coming off that
Yeah, they're
bye.
gonna have to maintain that composure. But hey,
I
at the
say
end of the day, they don't control Mother Nature. They went out there and did their job. They did their job exceedingly well.
before we go to the next game, I'm gonna say week 7 and week 8 they play the Chargers and they play Kansas City. That's the two games I'm checking for,
Yes,
and they're gonna
sir.
be on the road. So we're gonna really see how they're gonna be.
definitely. Well, moving on to the next game, we had the Redskins at the Rams. That's a terrible game by Kirk. I don't even know how the hell the Redskins won this game. They should have
We
lost.
really don't. I mean, this game was really kind of. I mean, dang, if it was bad to watch at times, and it's just bad to see what the Redskins offense is. It seemed like they're turning into more of run heavy. So Chris Thompson is a good flyer, like you said. Samaj P is a good flyer.
They're
I don't know
trying to
what.
undercut Kirk Cousins because he won't sign the deal that they want him to sign, so they're not going to make him look good for the free agent market.
Oh, because he looks
But
horrible in.
don't say you didn't hear that. I mean, you didn't hear that from me. I don't want to ruin
I mean,
the
when you
Redskins'
rush
big
for 229 yards, though, it ain't like more, it ain't a lot more you need your quarterback to do.
That is true, and then
That being said, but you take the temperature of that franchise over the last 3 seasons and
But yeah,
all
it's
the
a
stuff
passing
they've
team.
been able to accomplish. They're a passing team. You just don't flip the switch like that without some
You
kind of
damn near,
significant
damn near
change.
write him in for 4,000. So you
yeah,
know,
man,
Exactly.
and
And
I don't
now
it's
blame
you're
you that
going
shit.
through, because you're having all these struggles with the contract issues and stuff like that. So now you're quote unquote getting away from Kirk. Okay, I mean, just because nobody else wants to buy into the bait and give you anything in a trade for him, don't mean you got to cut the man's legs out. But I mean, it is what it is. We're not going to get into that side of it. For me, the best part about this game is the maturing process of one Jared Goff. He shows me a little bit more each week. He got out there, he fought hard. 9 different receivers caught passes in a limited offense, a limited skill set with limited talent. I like what the kid is showing me, and I think that it's going to bode well for them in the future when they get some skill position talent. I am very concerned, however, about one Todd Gurley.
Me personally, I'm not worried about it. He's not running the greatest, but he is getting utilized in the passing game. And if you can
Yeah,
get you a little
the
touches
touches
in
are
Fumble,
the
there.
game,
fumble,
that fumble was
fumble.
crazy. But you saw that play. That play. I mean, if you watch the
He
game,
gonna
it
be
looked stupid. It was
I
dumb.
saw the play and I feel you, but I'm like, okay, an NFL running back shouldn't fumble like that unless that dude
Yeah,
just came with the hardest hit and arm whip of all time.
yeah. I'm not. I'm
Just don't
personally
understand.
what
That's a
me.
concern
what's
for
saving
me.
them is that there's nobody behind him. Nobody trusts
That's
Matt.
what I'm saying. I'm not. That's why I'm not
Exactly.
worried
Like
about
they
it.
have nothing behind him. They have no options.
Nothing.
So that's why I'm not worried about it. And he's catching the ball, so he's fantasy relevant to. I mean,
But they still
fantasy.
take points off depending on your league for
Yeah, they
fumbles.
take
One
points
way or
off,
the
but
other.
then you having two
And
touchdowns
unless
behind
you're
that
breaking out
fumble.
TDs to offset it, then I mean it's cool.
They
Now,
look good. They look.
Marcus,
They
tell me, are we starting Terrell Pryor this week? Are we giving him the
Uh,
third round?
yeah, he playing Oakland. He's
Ooh.
playing Oakland this week, and like
Ooh.
I said it multiple times. I've said it. I don't know how many times. You play your receivers against Oakland. I said play Curse against Oakland, and look what he did. And then same, I'm gonna say Terrell Pryor. If he does not get it going against Oakland, then there's the red flag needs to be waved. But I'm not too much worried about it. I think Kirk Cousins just got to get it together. That's the
Is
reason
Kirk
why.
gonna have enough time to get him the ball?
That's another good question. That's another good. I
Concern.
don't know.
I think that Kirk can get him the ball. I just don't know if he'll have enough time with Mac and them coming off them
If they get,
edges.
but if they get the running game going, I'm not too concerned about it. I personally think that they're gonna be able to successfully run the ball against the Raiders, and
Okay.
that just opens it up for my boy Terrell Pryor to hopefully get it going.
Man,
Hopefully,
milk carton
If you had to
material.
put money on it, Terrell Pryor or Michael Thomas, who's scoring the first touchdown?
oh Michael Thomas, no doubt, man.
Who's
Michael
Mike playing
Thomas is about to
against?
get the. Oh, I forgot who Michael Thomas. 'Cause I just said who he was playing against. Man, that just.
Carolina.
Oh, there, yeah, that's
Bet
true.
good.
He can.
Bet good. I'm taking
Yeah.
Michael Thomas all day. Bet good.
I also want to take a flyer and say that Cooper Cup, if you did watch that game,
Ooh.
he didn't get targeted a lot, but he had enough flash plays that it showed you that you know what they're going to start featuring him more in the offense, and once they do, they're really going to start going get it going because there was a on the goal line. I think he had fell down and he had hopped back up to catch a pass, and it was really impressive.
Cooper
Personally,
Cup is this generation's Wayne Corbett. I
Uh
love
oh.
that dude.
Uh
he's
oh. That's big
I
time.
love Cooper Cup. To me, he's a more athletic Wayne Corbett.
I'm with you. Hey, the talent is there. We all seen it, man. But let's talk about an untalented game with the 49ers and Seahawks. I almost threw up just
Yeah.
watching a quarter of this game.
Hey, DeMarcus,
What?
somebody won and somebody lost.
Yeah, we don't really have to talk too much about this game. A Carlos Hyde is the only thing that's going on the
Man,
49ers.
The
there is
only thing.
nothing
The
going on
backup,
with this
the,
game.
the other person I would always to take a look at is Pierre Garcon because he does get the targets and he still is a good wide receiver. So I
Yeah.
take a flyer on those two. And on the other side of the ball, I would not play a Seattle Seahawk player at
Chris
all.
Carson.
I wouldn't even
Chris
play Chris
Carson.
Carson until I see this offense and for them to decide who they want in running back if Russell Wilson is going to get it together and if that offensive line is going to do it. No Jimmy Graham. I mean, if you do want to take a flyer, Tyler Lockett, man. The dude had 9 targets. So if he getting another 9 targets,
Yeah, it had
Paul
the
The
Richardson
only
hurt.
reason I roll with Chris Carson in this instance is because of the simple fact that the 49ers front seven ain't no slouch. And for him to pull off what he did with them really having nothing else to fear out of
Yeah,
that
that's
offense
all they have was their front
is
seven.
pretty. I mean, all they had was Chris Carson. He still put up 20 carries, 92 yards. And San Francisco's front seven is decent.
It's really decent.
Because Russell Wilson, my poor cousin, is catching hell. He's catching hell out there. He's running for his life, literally. But the
He ain't got
Carson
no
kid
damn
is one
choice. What the?
that you can buy extremely low on. I mean, yeah, he doesn't like really. Pete Carroll guys, what were y'all thinking about? Because y'all like completely dropped the
Listen,
ball on this line for
I got
touching
Russ over here. If you talking about coming over injury
Hey,
free,
it is.
we'll talk after the show.
Hey, it's all good. With Russell Wilson,
things.
he starts off slow. He starts off slow, man. That just seems like
Oh yeah,
it's another character flaw, but it is what it is. He starts off slow. So
he might have a bit of a breakout this weekend.
yeah, he playing Tennessee, so hopefully.
Call me. He on the low. He over here on the low. But
You
man,
got
let's
him for
talk
cheap.
about this. I got him from Chief, man. Sounds like your boy. But man, let's talk about that high score game that happened with the Falcons. Falcons in Green Bay going there, depleted Green Bay Packers. Still was able to put up 23 and 13 in the fourth.
Well, this
Any,
game speaks for itself, honestly.
it honestly does. Just injuries alone.
This game is your typical
Fannies and
If you
bananas.
pay attention to football type thing, you have a team in Atlanta that's built for speed. They're built to play on fast tracks indoors, which will always go a long way because they're night and day different, as we saw in week one when they had to play outside on that thicker grass against Chicago. Didn't have as much opportunities to be as explosive as when they play inside on those turf fields. So that'll always be an uptick for me whenever I'm playing anybody on Atlanta's team. If they're playing indoors or they're playing on turf, I'm automatically going to play them because they're automatically going to be light, speed, fast. Uh, Green Bay, it's one of those things now where it's kind of iffy moving forward these next couple of weeks because some of their biggest playmakers are iffy for the next few weeks. We don't know if Jordy is going to play or not against Cincinnati.
I wouldn't play him.
We
I wouldn't play
don't
him.
know. We don't know exactly how much or to what extent they're going to play Randall Cobb against Cincinnati. We still have no clue or no idea if their tackles are going to be active for this Cincinnati game.
I heard they may
And
not play.
make no mistake about it, it's Cincinnati. They're struggling. Their offense is terrible, but their defense hasn't given up 130 yards passing to anybody this season. Their defense isn't terrible. They're serviceable. And when you talk about taking a chance and playing against an offense that doesn't have its top two receivers and no tackles, their defense can look a lot better. Uh,
I'm
it's real
gonna.
cautious. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is still going to be Aaron Rodgers. I look for Ty Montgomery to actually still get his points in. But those are the only two people I trust for Green Bay. For Atlanta, playing against Detroit, you play anybody and everybody on that roster.
Start them
You
off.
play
But I'm
everybody.
also. But I'm also going. I'm not going to hold a candle fire to the Bengals and act like they that good because once again they still don't have what's it call it in the middle.
Talking about
God,
Burke.
Yeah, he's still suspended. So
Perfect.
once again, you might as well line them up. Ty Montgomery gonna get his, and then also Devontae gonna get his. I'm confident in that because
But the thing about it
Cincinnati.
though is their ends, their D line, their rush ends are above average, and that's going to be problematic for Green Bay.
All right, well,
Their tackles aren't playing. If their tackles aren't playing, that's going to be a problem because if he can't do anything as a head coach, and he really hasn't been able to do anything as a head coach, in my opinion, but Marvin Lewis still knows defense.
and is it safe to say that Devontae Freeman has finally like stapled in that he's a top 3 fantasy running back?
Well,
Oh
they
man,
already
I said
said that.
that.
Is
Yeah,
he finally there?
Did I? I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
called that coming.
he's always been top 5, but I
I
feel
called
like
that coming into the season. I said you have 5 running backs that should buy buy my boy David Johnson, but you got 4 left still with
Yeah.
LaShawn
well,
LaShawn
I
Bell.
mean,
Well, Bell may not even finish in
his
the top
OC
10 the way he
his
looking.
OC believes in him. His OC believes in him enough to get him
and
the
they paid him.
workload to qualify. Yeah, yeah. That it's one of those things where going into this season, you didn't know how Devontae felt because he felt a little slighted towards the end of the year, especially with the way the Super
Well,
Bowl went down, contract situation, yada yada. But they seem to have smoothed all that over, and Devontae is all in. The organization is all in on him. So I think that's gonna turn into wildly successful production
me
for that young man.
me personally, I said Freeman was going to be good this year for the simple fact is when Kyle Shanahan left, his guy was Tevin Coleman. So that's why
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman was getting worked into the offense way more than he should have. Now that
Mhm.
he's gone, I think you see the correction going. Freeman is the workhorse. Tevin Coleman comes in and
That's that
receives.
reverse.
So
Yeah, that's that reverse Murray Henry deal.
yeah, basically. So
That's that reverse Murray Henry deal.
like, and the people that we talked about earlier, Sanu, you talked about him earlier. Great game, Green Bay. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You got to just monitor the situation on the wide receivers. But I still like Devontae Adams, even on the scramble and Aaron Rodgers. I still like Devontae Adams. He may not have the greatest game, but he'll give you your points and he'll piss you off like he pissed me
Oh,
off.
he'll sneak in there and get you some. My thing is, I think that with Cincinnati being smart and trying to come in and do their thing, they're going to make sure that they game plan for Devontae. There's 2 other things about this game that stands out to me, and that's that oddly enough, for most people that don't know, Aaron Rodgers has never beaten the Cincinnati Bengals in his career ever, whether in Cincinnati or in
the last team?
Lambeau. Yes, that's the only team in the NFL that he's never beaten other than his own.
Oh, that's
Uh,
crazy.
this game reminds me a lot of a game that they played last year against the Colts. where everybody expected, oh, they'll bounce back. It's the Colts. They're going to go ahead and win. It's easy pickings, this, that, and the other. And the Colts came in around track meet on their ass. It's going to be interesting to see who pops off, who gets it in, who doesn't. But at this point, like on Green Bay side, again, I trust Rodgers. I trust Montgomery. I'm trying to trust Adams. It's going to be a little bit awkward for me, and especially if you have folks like the Geronimo Allisons of the world stopping shorts on routes and dropping balls, or Marty B dropping balls, then they're going to key in on Adams even more. For Cincinnati, it's a toss-up. It's a coin flip with them. With Atlanta, again, we go back to that same principle. They went from playing at home on the track to playing in Detroit on the track. Start everybody. There's nobody on that team that I wouldn't start right now against Detroit.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that on our next episode.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the starts and sits for the next episode shortly or tomorrow. But let's talk about the disappointment on Monday night. Well, just disappointment for myself. I don't know how you guys feel, but what the hell is going on with the Giants? Can they fix this?
This is a quick one. The offensive line is terrible. I wouldn't trust nobody on the Giants at all.
Man, that's
like
it.
Seattle. That's what
their
Seattle.
issue.
I can't trust it. That's it. Until I see different, I can't even in a matchup friendly game, I can't even trust. I can't trust no.
But with that O line, what's a matchup friendly game? They don't have any, and that's the problem. Yeah, with that O line playing like that, they have no matchup friendly games this season. They literally have to be in a position where they win games like 10-3, or they're going to lose. If they give up more than 10 points, they're going to lose every single game.
Yeah, and then from the other side of the ball, Detroit, I mean, Abdullah got worked into the game a little bit more. You see that he will get worked in when they have a lead. Ebron did, the irrelevant bum he is. He'll have that good game. He had a good game, but
he scored the first week last year and didn't score for 15.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I was about to say that's the way it's that's the way it's about to go again.
Ebron, you missed out because he won't be good again. But hey, man, go for it.
They're gonna be like, Ebron, I told y'all he on his way.
He did on Monday night, so everybody gonna be picking up. I got Eric
exactly.
Ebron.
The fact that's a false.
Eric Ebron last week was Kenny Galladay.
Good luck with that.
But besides that, Galloway, I mean, he didn't have a good game. Marvin Jones, he's trying to get worked into the offense more. They're trying to get him the ball more, and Tate's going to get his. So going forward, Stafford did play a tough defense. It is what it is. I think he'll be fantasy relevant going forward.
Oh, and funeral services will be taking place on Saturday for Brandon Marshall because I believe he's dead to at least 2.
Oh yeah, he's dead to a lot of us. I still think he still got it.
To me.
Obituaries will be going out on Friday.
Now, the one thing that I will say when it comes to Detroit from a fantasy standpoint, the same way I just told you to start Atlanta, everybody against Detroit, you can almost do the same thing for Detroit against Atlanta because their secondary is not the Giants' secondary.
Talking about we talking about that next episode. Don't give away the goods. Don't give away the goods.
I couldn't resist anytime I could.
Oh man, that's no problem, man.
But for my fantasy faithful, never ever forget Matthew Stafford has been a top 10 fantasy football quarterback for a decade now.
This is true.
So has Eli Manning. Look at him now.
But Eli don't look like Matt right now. Matt actually looks like a competent quarterback.
MVP
can make a read.
You know what I'm saying? Just got to keep it up.
The two Matts are racing for MVP. Ryan versus Stafford next week. Catch it.
All right, that's the preview. We're gonna get into that tomorrow. But anything I want to tell the people before we close this up?
Nothing really. I mean, just hit the waiver wire and get those good old, those B-list running backs if you want them. Me personally, I don't want the waiver wire this week.
Yeah, the waiver wire is not looking pretty.
It's slim picking. If you were wide receiver hurt, go get J.J. Nelson if you out there. Curse out there. Other than that, I'm not touching any of the running backs, and I wouldn't touch another running back, so I wouldn't give you the advice to touch any running back. So, but if you hurting, you can get Chris Thompson.
There you go. Any words of wisdom from my man Wilson?
For my fantasy football owners, again, I implore you guys, don't insult your own intelligence by not having any faith in your original draft. Do not overreact in week 2 and get rid of your whole team. And then in week 6, those same players have been picked up and are currently kicking.
Now you hurt.
Good. Yeah, this is the time we have faith, kind of let the process correct itself out. We still don't know what's going on with any of these teams right now and where anybody's headed and stuff like that. Because the minute that you think that a Green Bay or a Dallas is ready to compete for prime time, then they show up and they get their ass kicked the next week. And then what you gonna do? It's just that type of a process right now, especially with fantasy football. It's kind of topsy turvy right now, but hold the course for a little while longer. I say, me personally, I never really dig into the trades unless there's an injury involved or the waiver wire until about week 4, week 5. I give my guys a chance to kind of prove themselves. After that, then you can go through and make your necessary adjustments. But if you're going through and you're completely cleaning house on your team in week 2, stop playing fantasy football.
It's too stressful. Because the worst thing you can do is drop somebody and see them in the person you playing lineup
Man,
and they go off on
5, and you
your
got to play against them, and they put up like a bajillion yards on you.
had a Texans game on you, that Andre Johnson Texans. That's the worst feeling in the world. But as for now, this has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served.
Y'all enjoy.
Peace.